On November 11th of the year 1111, a blood-red meteor tore through the skies of Blue Star, heralding the start of the apocalyptic game. Humanity was forced to become NPCs, facing a cruel rule. Anyone who failed to choose a class would turn into a zombie within 5 seconds. A single death in the game also meant permanent death in the real world. Amidst a chaotic scene filled with blood and desperate screams, an ordinary young man named Yoon-chi appeared. He was destined to become the Nether Knight, the world's only SSS class, possessing the absolute ability to eliminate other players thanks to his Mark of Death skill. With this power, Yoon-chi could erase his enemies from both the game and reality itself. The world had now transformed into a bloody arena where he was forced to become the strongest to survive. The story begins at exactly 11:11, on November 11th of the year 1111. According to the Alliance calendar, the first sight was of hideous, bloodthirsty zombies screaming endlessly. Blue Star was plunged into an apocalyptic nightmare as hordes of zombies swarmed every corner of the earth, spreading terror among the survivors. Amidst the chaos, a poor girl stumbled as she fled, drenched in sweat, panting and screaming in desperation. "Go away! Stop following me!" But even as fear gripped her mind, Lu Xin mustered all her strength, dashing towards the door ahead. She had only one thought: I have to live. I have to see my parents again. I can't fall here. If she could just make it to the warehouse on the other side, she'd be safe. With tears streaming down her pale face, Lu Xin ran for her life, her trembling legs almost giving out, but cruel reality showed no mercy. Right before her eyes, a hideous zombie was tearing apart an unfortunate man. To her horror, she realized the one at death's door was the department head who always used to bully her. Even in his desperation, he reached a hand out to her, his voice a weak whisper, urging Lu Xin to run away. But the horrifying sight froze her to the spot, and Lu Xin collapsed to the ground, her whole body trembling, unable to move. After finishing off the department head, the zombie slowly turned, taking heavy steps in her direction. Its blazing red eyes seemed to pierce right into Lu Xin's soul, leaving her paralyzed in absolute terror. "So scary," she mumbled, her mind a complete mess, unsure of what to do. Suddenly, a zombie lunged forward with terrifying speed, like a deadly whirlwind. Lu Xin screamed in despair. "Somebody, help me." She squeezed her eyes shut, thinking her life was over. Just then, a figure flashed by like lightning as Yoon-chi, with his ice-cold eyes, leaped into the air. The weapon in his hand gleamed as he appeared behind the zombie, and without the slightest hesitation, delivered a decisive strike. The blade whistled through the air, and in an instant, the zombie was sliced in half, collapsing in a pool of its own blood. Yoon-chi's eyes burned with rage as he glared at the mindless monsters swarming in front of him. At the same time, a cold system notification echoed in his mind. Defeated 1 level, 1 zombie, received 10 points. Witnessing this, Lu Xin stood frozen like a statue. The man who had just pulled her from the jaws of death was now standing tall before her. She blinked, still unable to believe it was real. But before she could even process it, another bloodthirsty zombie loomed up from behind her, growling as it advanced. Unfazed, Yoon-chi's expression turned fierce as he gripped his sword, its steel glinting coldly. Seizing the moment Lu Xin ducked in panic, he swung his sword and lopped off the zombie's head in a single, clean strike. The system chimed in again, eliminating a level 1 zombie grants 10 accumulation points. Realizing time was short, Yoon-chi immediately grabbed Lu Xin's hand and pulled her to her feet. "What are you standing there dazed for? Let's run." Startled, Lu Xin quickly nodded and stammered, "Yeah." The two of them immediately bolted, leaving a horde of crazed zombies roaring in pursuit behind them. The surrounding scene became more terrifying than ever. The roar of the monsters blended with the suffocating atmosphere of the apocalypse as they fled. Lu Xin looked up at Yoon-chi in a panic, her trembling voice crying out, "Yoon-chi, I really can't believe it. Has the apocalypse truly arrived? Am I dreaming?" Yes, even while focused on running, Yoon-chi maintained a surprisingly calm demeanor. He replied in a deep, clear voice, "I would also love to know if this is a dream or not." He glanced back at the zombies hot on their tail, his expression gradually turning cold and stern. "I am Yoon-chi, 21 years old, the young master of the Yoon family from the central capital. 10 minutes ago, I was just a rich kid disguised as an ordinary office worker. Now, I'm forced to outwit and outfight these zombies." 10 minutes earlier, Yoon-chi had walked into the company carrying his briefcase, looking as usual. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, his smile as radiant as if welcoming a new, vibrant day as Lu Xin gently approached. With her cheeks blushing and a shy smile, she looked up at him, her voice gentle with a hint of timidity. "Today is the prophesied doomsday. I'm feeling a little scared. By the way, could you take me home?" Her words made Yoon-chi pause, his eyes flashing with surprise. "Ah," but he quickly regained his composure and walked past her with an air of indifference. "That doomsday prophecy is 15 years old. What is there to be scared of? Nowadays, even elementary school kids don't believe in that stuff anymore. Hearing this, Lucian blushed with embarrassment. Really? Is that so? Seemingly reading her thoughts, Yunqi turned his head and raised an eyebrow in surprise. But are you really scared? She hurriedly nodded, her voice trembling. Yes, I'm very scared. Though she said that, Lucian was inwardly gloating, thinking to herself, I knew it, no one can resist this girl's charm. Lost in her thoughts, she was suddenly startled by Yunqi's loud voice as he raised his hand towards everyone in the office. The office goddess is scared of the apocalypse. Is there anyone who will take our goddess home after work? His words left both Lucian and everyone else in the room stunned. Immediately, a crowd rushed over to surround her, all clamoring at once. Goddess, I can. Lucian, I'm going the same way. Let me take you home. Lucian, I can do it too. You should consider me. Surrounded by the crowd, Lucian was flustered and didn't know how to react. She shot a glare at Yunqi, cursing inwardly. Yunqi, you damn dense idiot, serves you right for not having a girlfriend. Meanwhile, Yunqi had already calmly walked back to his usual seat. He gently placed his designer briefcase on the desk, a faint smile playing on his lips as if he had seen through everything. The apocalypse, huh? What a great excuse. Blue Star. Suddenly, Yunqi's memories drifted back 15 years, to a time when armies paraded grandly through the streets. Humanity's artificial intelligence supercomputer, Titan, had detected an approaching dark celestial body, predicting that Blue Star would face its doomsday on November 11th, 1101, according to the Alliance calendar. But that news plunged the entire world into panic, as unmanned drones circled in the sky, continuously broadcasting a cold announcement. The apocalypse is approaching. The military command has issued an emergency order, requesting everyone to return home immediately and lock their doors tightly. People on the streets buzzed with shocked whispers. The apocalypse? Oh my god, that's terrifying. Is the apocalypse really going to happen? It must be. That's the prophecy from Titan. Let's hurry home. If I have to die, I want to die at home. But for 15 years, conflicting information kept appearing. On 11 divided by 11 divided by 1101, a voice echoed everywhere, calling for humanity to prepare for the apocalypse. But every time, the so-called dark celestial body was just a cruel joke of fate, leaving everyone disappointed. In the following years, 1102, 1103, 1104, and then 1108. According to the Alliance calendar, the news constantly provided urgent updates, but it all resulted in nothing but pointless vigilance. On 12 divided by 11 divided by 1108, an announcement rang out, the apocalypse curfew has ended. See you all again next year. These words made ordinary people grumble in annoyance. Why have a curfew if the apocalypse isn't even coming? It just messes up my plans to go out. Yunqi understood everything better than anyone. 15 years had passed, and the doomsday prophecy had become a joke in everyone's eyes. Only a few idle people still used it as an excuse for fun, like a couple strolling hand in hand down a long street, the boy teasing with a bright smile. Today is the apocalypse. Let's go see a movie together. Just the two of us. The girl beside him laughed and nodded gently. Okay. Returning to reality, a strange glint appeared in Yunqi's eyes, and the corner of his mouth curved into an inscrutable smile. He muttered, but I don't have time for that. At this moment, what caught his attention more was the ancient sword lying before him. Its appearance exuded the solemnity of time, as if he had been searching for it for a very long time. Seeing Yunqi's excitement, a colleague beside him couldn't help but tease in surprise. Yunqi, did you buy another model? You're in your 20s and still into this childish stuff. These words left Yunqi speechless. A model? He immediately bent down to carefully read the attached note. The note read, Little Chi, this is the blade of extinction, forged from titanite ore. The hardest material known today, it cuts through gold and jade as easily as slicing vegetables. Keep it for self-defense. The sender was Yunqi. Reading it carefully, Yunqi was suddenly stunned. This wasn't a toy, but a highly lethal weapon, enough to be classified as a level 3 prohibited item in society. His face showed a hint of embarrassment as he thought, how on earth did this get shipped here? He flipped the letter over, and his eyes fell upon lines of reproach. You haven't been home in 3 years. When are you planning to come back? After reading it, Yunqi couldn't help but be startled. Has it really been 3 years? Memories suddenly flooded back, taking him back to the day he left home with a suitcase in hand. Back then, it was simply because he didn't want to live according to his family's arrangements, unwilling to accept the path laid out for him. He had run away from Zhongdu to live alone in Sector 105 for all this time. This irresponsible act of running away from home really should end, he told himself, his resolve slowly becoming clear. He thought to himself, I'll just wait to get this month's salary and then go home. Just then, Yunqi's train of thought was interrupted. A series of piercing sirens suddenly blared everywhere. The hair-raising sound left everyone in the company stunned, frozen in place. The strange sound startled Yun-Chi, and he quickly turned his head to look around, not yet understanding what was happening. The entire space was bathed in a horrifying, bright red light. Following everyone's panicked gazes, he looked up at the sky. The scene before him left him stunned in disbelief. A strange, blazing red meteor was streaking through the sky. All his colleagues in the company stood rooted to the spot, their mouths buzzing incessantly. Could this be the dark celestial body that Titan prophesied? Why didn't the government give any warning? Another guy, his face pale, stammered, "Oh my God, is it really going to hit Blue Star? Boss, I'm taking a leave of absence. I want to go home." Just then, a cold, mysterious voice echoed through the streets. "To all the bustling people of Blue Star, welcome to the global apocalypse game. From this moment on, the apocalypse has arrived. You have lost your freedom as humans, and all of you will become monsters and NPCs in this apocalypse game." The declaration left everyone petrified and speechless, and in the suffocating atmosphere, the voice continued to echo without pause. This is currently the game's startup phase. First, you have 24 hours to earn in-game points and upgrade your NPC's secondary attributes. The higher the level of your secondary attributes, the greater your power will be when the expansion phase ends in 24 hours. Players will officially enter the game. You cannot truly kill the players, but the players can truly kill you. Fourth, be cautious about everything that is happening, because for you, dying in the game means dying for real. These words made Yun-Chi's expression turn grave, his mind racing with thoughts that everyone would become monsters and NPCs in the game. So, who are the players? Before everyone's eyes, shimmering information panels appeared, accompanied by the system's cold announcement. Global communication has been adjusted, and the in-game world channel is now open. All old modes of communication have been disabled. Please complete your class selection within 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, the game will officially begin. While Yun-Chi was still busy processing the information, a panel flashed before his eyes, displaying the words Yun-Chi's details. Novice Village level, B rank NPC. Each level up grants 2 main attribute points, 1 secondary attribute point, and 2 free attribute points. Fourth, for every 10 main attribute levels, gain an additional 10% bonus. No, as an NPC, you can only level up by earning accumulation points. Strength 9 increases physical attack power. Agility 9 increases speed. Spirit 10 increases magic power. Constitution 10 increases defense and endurance. Compatibility 10%. Class undetermined. Personal talent none. Class specialization none. Current skills none. After reading, Yun-Chi couldn't help but murmur in amazement. This perspective is exactly like a full dive game. The system immediately continued its announcement. Please select your class. He seriously reached out and touched the system screen, quickly calculating in his head. If the apocalypse was really starting, choosing a class that prioritized maximum strength would make it easier for him to survive in the early stages. Before his eyes, information about the powerful warrior class appeared, showing the image of a warrior in brilliant armor, holding a sharp weapon that caught his eye. Main attribute, strength. Secondary attribute, constitution. Fourth, note, melee attacks have a 5% chance to trigger the bloodlust effect, increasing strength by 5% and attack speed by 15%, lasting for 10 seconds. The first melee attack is a guaranteed trigger, with a maximum of 1 activation per minute. Next, the system displayed 2 other class options. The mage class, more suitable for females, had spirit as its main attribute and constitution as its secondary, with a note that spellcasting speed is increased by 15%. Finally, there was the Majestic Knight class in shimmering armor, with constitution as its main attribute and strength as the secondary. Fourth, note, when constitution is the highest attribute, it is increased by an additional 20%, and you ignore 50% of your body weight. After reading, Yun-Chi couldn't hide his surprise. He reached back to touch the treasured sword on his back and murmured, "The knight seems really strong. If I choose the knight or warrior class, this sword will definitely be usable." Suddenly, the sword began to emit a fantastical glow. It was unusually brilliant, and immediately, the system in front of him vibrated as a notification echoed. The system has detected that you possess abnormal energy. Congratulations on receiving the unique, custom SSS rank class, Nether Knight. Yun-Chi was stunned, barely believing his eyes. A custom SSS rank class. The eyes within his armor flashed mysteriously. The system proceeded to detail the Nether Knight class. Primary stats, constitution, strength, spirit, and secondary stat, agility. 4 professional skill details appeared more clearly. Death Blight level 1, passive. All of your attacks can apply an irremovable mark of death to the target, causing the target to receive a 10% reduction in healing. Once the target dies, their level is reduced by 1. and upon revival, they enter a weakened state, reducing all stats by 10% for 10 minutes. If the target's level is forced to 0 by the mark of death, the target will die permanently, both inside and outside the game, and this includes players. Note, with each level up, the healing reduction effect increases by 10%, the deceased target loses an additional level, all stats are reduced by another 10%, and the debuff duration is extended by 10 minutes. This can stack up to 9 times. After reading this, the corners of Yunqi's mouth curled into an incredulous smile. He mumbled in amazement, "The mark of death. In other words, if I'm strong enough, I can even kill other players? Is this some kind of game-breaking bug?" Before he could even process it, the system vibrated again, showing a new notification. "Congratulations on awakening the personal talent, Planar Arbiter. Planar Arbiter allows you to designate up to 3 categories in the game, and their non-combat stats will be boosted tenfold from their original value. If the change is designated as permanent, the boost becomes 100-fold. The skill's cooldown is 24 hours. Yes." Yunqi couldn't help but burst out laughing, his eyes gleaming. Another surprise? This newbie bonus is so overpowered, it's practically a hack. While he was gloating, the system made an announcement to all players. "Class selection is complete. The game will commence in 5 seconds. These words threw everyone around him into a panic. "What the hell? Why didn't I get to pick a class?" Another person cried out in alarm. "Me neither. Is the system bugged or something?" The system began its countdown. 5, 4, 3. The crowd erupted in discontent. "This is so unfair. Why do they get classes but we don't?" But the system coldly continued its count. 2, 1. With a calm expression, Yunqi glanced out the window, as if he already knew what was coming. Finally, the announcement echoed, "The apocalypse game begins." In the next instant, those who hadn't chosen a class suddenly clutched their chests, spewing blood before transforming into zombies in an instant. The horrifying sight made a nearby girl stumble back in terror, her voice trembling. "You guys, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me." But before she could react, a bloodthirsty zombie lunged and violently pinned her to the ground. Her agonizing scream echoed, tearing through the chaos as everyone watched in horror. The zombie opened its grotesque maw and bit down on the girl, finishing her in an instant. The gruesome sight plunged the entire room into absolute terror. The panicked crowd turned and fled, the echoing roars of the zombies hot on their heels. The office instantly transformed into a chaotic battlefield, as ordinary people turned into zombies one by one, their eyes turning cloudy as they growled with bloodlust. Yunqi saw the situation worsening, a flicker of alarm in his eyes. He muttered, "This is bad. These zombies can infect people." A hideous zombie opened its mouth wide, lunging swiftly towards a poor man. The man could only run for his life, helpless against the monster's speed. But luckily, Yunqi swung his sword in time to block the attack, saving the man from a close brush with death. He turned back and shouted, "Run! Don't let the zombies get you." The startled man quickly replied, "Okay, got it," then dashed off out of sight. The zombie's gaze now grew even more terrifying, gleaming with a thirst for flesh and blood. Back in the present, Yunqi pulled Lucian by the hand, running with her down the long hallway, not daring to stop for even a second. Lucian pointed the way as they ran, her voice urgent. "This way," but she suddenly froze, her face turning pale as she heard a strange noise up ahead. "Yunqi, there's a noise ahead," she warned, her voice trembling. Yunqi immediately gripped his sword, charging forward with a chilling gaze and shouting, "Just die, you monster." But when he rounded the corner, what appeared wasn't a zombie but a panicked man, kneeling on the ground and screaming, Don't kill me. I'm human, not a zombie." Realizing it was a living person, Yunqi quickly lowered his sword, his eyes flashing with surprise as he recognized the familiar face of Liu Yang. The man, Liu Yang, looked up, his face still trembling with fear. Sensing the urgency of the situation, Yunqi pulled Lucian to turn and leave, not forgetting to glance back and remind him, "Be more careful next time. Don't just pop out like that." Realizing something was off, Liu Yang quickly turned and started cursing at Yunqi. "Aren't we teammates? You're just going to leave me behind like this, not even helping when you see I'm in trouble. Are you even human?" Yunqi paid no mind to the accusations, even glancing back with a voice full of sarcasm. "I know perfectly well whether I'm human or not. As for you, after repeatedly stealing my ideas and achievements to take credit, and on top of that, causing a female colleague to have 3 abortions, you're certainly no good person." These words enraged Liu Yang, who gritted his teeth and growled, "What did you say?" But Yunqi couldn't be bothered to care. He decisively turned and pulled Lucian away. "Let's go." Behind them, Liu Yang kept pleading, "Wait, don't go. My class is also a knight. If the 3 of us team up, we won't have to fear the zombies anymore." His words made Lucian hesitate. She looked up at Yunqi, her voice hesitant. "Yunqi, did you hear? He's a knight. He must be very strong." But Yunqi maintained a stern expression, coldly turning back to Liu Yang and replying, No matter how strong his class is, it can't change the fact that he's a despicable scumbag. Seeing he couldn't convince them, Liu Yang angrily picked up an iron rod from the ground. Roaring a curse, "You dare look down on me?" He spun around without a moment's hesitation, lunging to attack Yun Qi. Lu Xun shrieked in panic, "Watch out," but she had no idea that Yun Qi was the one favored by fate. He calmly gripped his weapon, smoothly turning and delivering a powerful thrust. Liu Yang clutched his stomach in pain, his mouth agape as he violently threw up his entire lunch. The puddle of vomit on the ground reeked with a disgusting stench. Just then, a zombie loomed up from behind Liu Yang, its cloudy eyes fixed on the three of them. Liu Yang turned his head, his face instantly paling, and screamed in panic, "Help! Save me!" But it was already too late. A zombie lunged forward, tearing him to pieces before he could even react, as Yun Qi spoke in a cold voice without any hesitation. "Let's go, Lu Xun." Although Lu Xun felt a pang of guilt, she followed him, but she couldn't help looking back to ask, "Wait a minute, Yun Qi, are we really going to leave him to die?" Liu Yang's desperate screams still echoed from behind. Suddenly, Yun Qi stopped dead in his tracks in the middle of the hallway. His eyes grew sharp and stern. He turned to Lu Xun, his voice low but decisive. "Lu Xun, ditch that useless compassion. Open your eyes. This is the apocalypse." When he turned away, his entire aura seemed to have changed, emanating a terrifyingly cold aura. The scene outside the hallway came into view. The once beautiful city was now a brutal battlefield. Everything had changed, leaving only death and chaos to reign supreme. On the streets, hordes of mutated zombies were constantly rising, shrieking as they hunted for human lives. Down the long hallway, Yun Qi coldly reminded her, "Don't be as naive as you were before." His words left Lu Xun stunned, rooted to the spot and utterly speechless. Realizing that time was running out, Yun Qi immediately turned around, his voice urgent. "There are too many zombies, let's find a safe place first." As the two were rushing to find a place to hide, a nearby door suddenly swung open, and Jia, a friend of Lu Xun's, appeared, urgently calling out, "Lu Xun." Seeing a familiar face, Lu Xun cried out in surprise, Jia. But outside, the horde of zombies was still screaming madly, pounding on the door and radiating a terrifying ferocity. Entering the room, Yun Qi calmly scanned his surroundings with a sharp, cold gaze. He suddenly noticed something amiss and thoughtfully turned his head to look elsewhere. This company had so many people, and now only the 7 of us have survived. In the cramped room, exactly 7 people were huddled together, their faces etched with fear and contemplation. Jia sat curled up in a corner, sobbing despairingly. The world was so peaceful. How did it suddenly become such a horrifying nightmare? A nearby office worker cried, burying her face in her hands. "I want to go home." The man beside her hurriedly comforted her, his voice trembling. "The most important thing right now is to stay alive. As long as that horde of zombies doesn't break in, I'll be thanking my lucky stars." Unable to bear the chaotic scene, a man in the corner slammed his fist on the table and roared in anger. "It's all Jia's fault for opening the door for you guys. We already had no food, and now a horde of zombies is blocking the door." The person who just spoke was none other than the company director, Cao Yujian. He continued to scream, his face flushed red. "Damn it, if you want to die, then go die outside. Why do you have to drag everyone else down with you?" These words enraged Zhao Jian, the security guard. He sprang to his feet and demanded loudly, "What's that supposed to mean?" Yun Qi listened to the argument, lost in his thoughts. He recalled the earlier scene, how Zhao Jian had secretly tailed them and dashed into the room, bringing a few zombies with him. In his panic, he had even shoved 3 other people out of the way to get inside, which couldn't help but disturb Yun Qi. "Zhao Jian," he muttered under his breath, his eyes growing colder by the second. Ignoring everyone's glares, Zhao Jian shamelessly yelled, "Out of my way, move it." Hearing these words, Cao Yujian became even more furious. He pointed his finger and cursed, "What now? Was I wrong? If it weren't for you people leading the zombies here, we wouldn't be trapped like this. On top of that, you're all covered in blood, you might already be infected and turning into those monsters. It would be better if you died outside." Yun Qi remained silent, observing with his sharp, cold eyes, but Zhao Jian couldn't take it anymore and roared, "You son of a B times teach." He rushed forward, grabbing Cao Yujian tightly by the collar and yelled, "You Cao, I've put up with you for long enough. You think just because you're the leader, you can walk all over everyone and do whatever you want?" Cao Yujian didn't back down at all, boldly retorting, "Zhao Jian, how dare you speak to me like that? Watch out, or I'll fire you." But Cao Yujian's threat didn't faze Zhao Jian in the slightest. He snarled, his eyes turning cold as ice. "Wake up, this is the apocalypse now. If you say I'm a monster, then I'll really show you what a monster is." Yujian panicked, stammering, "What are you trying to do? Stop it." Just as the two were struggling, a piercing sound of shattering glass rang out. Zhao Jian, with terrifying strength, shoved Yu Qian hard towards the window. He screamed in terror, Are you insane? This is the 17th floor." Seeing the unjust situation, Yun Qi gripped his sword tightly, ready to intervene. Yu Qian's face turned deathly pale, and he pleaded endlessly, Don't kill me." But Zhao Jian paid him no mind, roaring, "Get down there." Lu Xun, standing behind them, couldn't bear the sight and quickly shouted, "Wait!" She placed a hand on her chest, her voice urgent as she explained, "Zhao Jian, don't be rash. I chose the mage class, and I've awakened the holy light talent, which can purify wounds. Maybe I can help you treat your injury. That way, no one has to turn into a monster." These words left Yun Qi speechless, and he cursed inwardly, "Damn it, how could she be so foolish? To just carelessly reveal her class information like that." The moment Lu Xun finished speaking, the entire room fell silent. Everyone looked at her with a mix of disbelief and calculation in their eyes. Yun Qi watched it all unfold, a chill running down his spine. The greatest danger often comes from those beside you. Everyone had been gathered for so long, yet no one had revealed their class, clearly on guard against one another. Seeing Lu Xun still recklessly approaching Zhao Jian, Yun Qi couldn't help but worry, thinking to himself, "I'm afraid what she's doing will cause huge trouble." Zhao Jian, after hearing Lu Xun's words, looked surprised. "You said you're a mage?" Lu Xun stepped forward, nodding decisively. "That's right, so you don't have to worry about being infected. We can prevent this tragedy from happening together. Maybe we can even change our fate." Hearing this, Cao Yuqian quickly interjected, his voice trembling. "Zhao Jian, did you hear that? She can heal you. Hurry and go to her." But as soon as those words left his mouth, the corners of Zhao Jian's mouth curled into a calculating smile. Without a moment's hesitation, he shoved Yu Qian down from the 17th floor. An indescribable cruelty flashed in his eyes, as if this very moment was his chance to change his destiny. Yu Qian realized death was imminent, screaming in despair. Lu Xun witnessed the scene and couldn't bear to watch any longer, her face turning ashen. Yun Qi stood there, sensing that everything was spiraling far beyond his initial predictions. A sickening thud echoed as Yu Qian hit the ground, turning into a gory puddle of blood on the pavement below. Lu Xun stumbled back in horror, asking with a tremor in her voice, Why?" Zhao Jian let out a triumphant smirk, his voice cold. "Why else? It's because that damn fatty was an eyesore." But Lu Xun, still trying to hold onto her compassion, spoke up, "Just for that? That was a living person's life." Zhao Jian let out a scornful laugh. His body suddenly transformed, becoming more robust than ever before. He let out a roar as his power exploded. A person's life? Just then, a system notification rang out announcing that Zhao Jian had become a level 1 warrior. Zhao Jian burst into loud, triumphant laughter, his voice filled with pride. "He was just a stepping stone for me. Speaking of which, choosing the warrior class was a brilliant decision. As long as I have power, not only will I survive in this apocalypse, but I might even turn the tables and become the ruler of the world." Watching Zhao Jian grow increasingly aggressive, Yun Qi fell into deep thought. With a cold glint in his eyes, he thought to himself, in an apocalypse where law and morality have vanished, the human heart becomes more terrifying than one can imagine. Zhao Jian approached Lu Xun, laughing boisterously, his voice dripping with intent. "Lu Xun, from now on, you'll be with me and be my woman." His words terrified Lu Xun, who quickly backed away, her face pale as she stammered, "No." Fortunately, Yun Qi immediately stepped forward to shield her, lightly brandishing his sword and shifting into a basic stance, the steel glinting coldly. Zhao Jian was stunned, exclaiming in surprise, "What? You're interested in this girl too?" Yun Qi remained composed and shifted into an assassination stance, his steady voice correcting him. "Let me be clear, I'm only interested in her skills." He had already calculated everything. Lu Xun could support him with her holy light talent, and in the apocalypse, no one could guarantee they wouldn't get injured. Having a mage capable of purifying the virus by his side was a huge advantage. Zhao Jian, furious at Yun Qi's interference, decisively smashed the fire extinguisher in front of him and roared, "You dare try to take what's mine? You got a death wish." He immediately spun around, his eyes blazing red as if to devour everything. Yun Qi took a deep breath as the man raised the fire extinguisher, gripping it tightly, ready to strike him down. "You'll be the stepping stone for my conquest of this apocalyptic world." Zhao Jian roared, putting all his strength into swinging the fire extinguisher right at Yun Qi, but with his swift reflexes, Yun Qi raised his sword just in time to block the attack. His eyes suddenly widened in alarm as he noticed something unusual, a bleeding wound on Zhao Jian's hip, causing him to reel back in confusion. "This is bad. Is Zhao Jian infected?" Zhao Jian's pupils slowly clouded over, transforming into the terrifying gaze of a true zombie, an appearance that would make anyone shudder. Yun Qi tried to stay calm, his mind racing. He was just speaking normally. Could the time it takes to turn depend on a person's constitution? With the physique of a strong fighter like him, once he turns, he'll be far more terrifying than an ordinary zombie. At this thought, Yunqi didn't hesitate. He struck with a powerful blow, knocking the fire extinguisher out of Zhao Jian's hands. Before the man could even react, Yunqi gripped his sword and lunged forward like a whirlwind. I have to deal with this ticking time bomb, and fast. A single, decisive slash tore through the air, cutting straight into Zhao Jian as blood sprayed everywhere, painting gruesome red arcs through the air. Even the sturdy fire extinguisher was cleaved in two by Yunqi's sword, as if it were nothing. A fine mist drifted through the room, mingling with the tense atmosphere. With just a few clean moves, Yunqi had taken down Zhao Jian. Lu Xin slowly approached him with a complicated expression, but the other three people in the room were frozen in shock. Their faces turned pale at the horrific sight. He killed someone. Another person is dead. Lu Xin stood there quietly, her gaze fixed on Yunqi's steady back. She turned slightly and walked away, trying to calm her racing heart. You saw everything that just happened. A harsh teacher doesn't need to teach a lesson twice. Once is enough for it to sink in. Lu Xin thought to herself, hoping she would remember the consequences of her naivety and not act so recklessly again. Yunqi glanced around the room, meeting the terrified gazes of the others, and even though he had only acted because Zhao Jian was turning, their fear now became an advantage, making it easier for him to control the situation. After a moment's consideration, he turned around, his sharp gaze sweeping over each of their faces. His deep and commanding voice echoed, "Now, does anyone else want to fight me over her?" "No," Jia quickly shook her head, her voice trembling. "No, we don't." The two people beside her also nodded vigorously, saying in unison, "Yunqi, we just want to survive, we won't do anything." Hearing this, Yunqi nodded slightly and quietly sheathed his sword. The movement was gentle, yet exuded a sense of authority as he turned back and instructed them in a calm voice. "That's good. Lu Xin, help them treat their wounds." Lu Xin nodded and immediately walked over to Jia, acting as a mage. She gently raised her hand, channeling her healing ability. A soft light radiated from her palm, enveloping Jia's wound. She carefully instructed Jia, "This is my first time healing, so let me know if you feel any discomfort." Meanwhile, Yunqi remained composed, his eyes focused on the computer screen on the desk, realizing there was still important work to be done. He quickly pulled his phone from his pocket, but a look of disappointment flickered across his face as he glanced at the screen. Suppressing a sigh, he confirmed that all old methods of communication were useless. The phone screen displayed a cold message. "Sorry, your current location is outside the service area." Yunqi suddenly turned his head, his gaze shifting elsewhere as he sank into thought. The only way to connect with the outside world now was through the world channel in the game system, but he knew many others were probably thinking the same thing. Without hesitation, he focused on the system screen in front of him, where the world channel was displayed. It was flooded with chaotic messages. Wang Xikong. "Help, there are too many zombies. Can anyone come save us? I'm in the city center. Jingxi Dabing. Everyone, don't panic. I heard. The two alliance councils have already dispatched law enforcement teams to rescue the residential market. Soon, our lives will return to normal. Huang Zhao Ergu. Cut the crap, all communication systems are down. You can't even make a phone call now. So where did you get information about the councils? Lao Fu, live long enough to see the end of the world. Stop hesitating, grab your weapons and fight your way out. Anyone with guts, follow me. We'll rally at the Zhongjin building in City C. Lu Shen, my house is right next to the Zhongjin building. Big bro, let me join you." Reading the jumbled messages on the screen, Yunqi frowned slightly. A look of helplessness crossed his face, and he couldn't help but shake his head, unsure of what to do. Clearly, most people were isolated. With no help available, the only way to survive was to rely on oneself. With a decisive move, he closed the chat interface on the system. His gaze became more determined than ever as the system screen lit up. Yunqi's detailed information appeared. Rank: Novice Village, NPC level 1. Accumulated points: 130 out of 200. Class: Nether Engineer. Strength: 9. Agility: 9. Spirit: 10. Constitution: 11. Compatibility: 10%. Personal talent: Knower of the Plane. Can designate a maximum of 3 items in the game, and their non-combat stats will be increased tenfold from their original values. If the change is determined to be permanent, the increase will be up to 100-fold. Skill cooldown: 24 hours. Class specialization: Death's Wither. Current skills: none. After reading the information, Yunqi frowned slightly. He sank into thought. Previously, due to the urgent situation, he hadn't had time to consider things carefully. Now, looking at his stat panel, he realized that non-combat stats could be increased tenfold. Among them, accumulated points and compatibility stood out the most, but what confused him was the line compatibility, 10%. What exactly is this compatibility? He wondered, his eyes glued to the system screen as he silently pondered. He recalled that stats like strength and agility were simple and easy to understand, but the compatibility level was vague and hard to grasp. He recalled the information about the planar depth perception talent. If he chose a permanent change, the benefits could increase 100-fold. This was clearly a high-level skill. Especially in the early stages, he thought to himself, but without fully understanding the game's mechanics, hastily using this talent probably wouldn't be wise. Once the startup phase ends, new stats might appear, and at that time, this talent will have a much greater effect. Yes, with that thought, Yunqi reached out, cautiously touching the accumulation points section on the system screen. It's better to be safe. For now, I'll just increase the rate of gaining accumulation points tenfold. Immediately, the system issued a congratulatory message. Adjustment successful, the rate of gaining accumulation points has increased tenfold from the original. Below is the paragraph edited as requested. I have fully adhered to the rules of style, punctuation, semantics, and imagery, and have kept the dialogue and quotation marks unchanged. I have ensured not to distort the original content, while increasing coherence, vividness, rhythm, and standardizing spelling errors. The one named Yunqi burst out laughing, his eyes sparkling with a mix of joy and excitement. Awesome. With this tenfold increase effect, my rate of getting stronger will be 10 times faster than others, he thought, his heart filled with determination. On the other side, Lu Xin had just finished healing everyone, and she tiredly rubbed her stomach, her face scrunched up. I'm so hungry. I wonder if it's because magic consumes stamina that I'm suddenly so uncomfortably hungry. Yunqi glanced at her, then looked at the others in the room. They were comforting each other, but their faces still showed clear anxiety. He sighed softly, feeling a pang of pity. This meeting room had nothing but 4 empty walls, and if they kept hiding like this, sooner or later, their ammunition and food would run out. His gaze grew pensive as he became engrossed in planning his next move. In about 20 more hours, the official players would enter the game. Thinking of that scenario, a worried expression flickered across Yunqi's face. Those who chose powerful classes wouldn't hesitate to oppress or even eliminate the weak. After 20 hours, Blue Star would perhaps have to face a massacre, one even more terrifying than the zombie outbreak. This thought strengthened his resolve, and he summoned his steel-bladed sword, which glinted with a cold light, and then he walked forward with unshakable determination. His goal this time was very clear. He had to accumulate as many points as possible before the game's startup phase ended. Seeing him walk towards the door with his sword, everyone in the room immediately panicked. Someone stammered, their voice trembling. Yunqi, what are you planning to do? Are you really planning to go outside? Jia rushed to stand in front of him, frantically waving her hands to stop him. You're crazy, there are so many zombies out there. The moment you open the door, they'll rush in and eat us. Yunqi's gaze remained cold and sharp, unwavering in the face of her pleas. He warned in a low voice, "Move." From behind, Lu Xin also rushed over, raising a hand to stop his reckless plan, her voice filled with worry. Yunqi, do you really have to go outside? It's so dangerous outside, and we had such a hard time finding this hiding spot. Yes, Yunqi said, turning his head slightly, his gaze calm but firm. He explained to Lu Xin, without supplies, hiding is just a slow death. I'm going to try and eliminate all the zombies out there. If you all want to stay here and wait to die, then just close the door. His decisive words made Jia. Jia couldn't hold back his anger, yelling loudly. Even waiting to die is better than running to your death. The 2 people beside him quickly nodded in agreement, chiming in anxiously. That's right. Do you have any idea how many monsters are out there? It's easy for you to say since you have a weapon, but we have nothing. What are we supposed to do out there? But Yunqi remained unfazed, his steps resolute as he moved forward. Luo Han couldn't take it anymore and quickly raised a hand to stop him, her voice trembling. Yunqi, maybe we should just wait a little longer? The military will surely show up soon. As long as we wait for rescue, we'll be safe. However, he paid no mind to their pleas. His cold eyes glanced back for a moment, tinged with contemplation. With the interference of the apocalypse game, I'm afraid rescue from the government. He didn't get to finish his sentence. His train of thought was suddenly cut off by a series of strange sounds from outside. Indeed, Yunqi and Luo Han were instantly stunned, their gazes simultaneously shooting up to the sky. In disbelief, they exclaimed, "Ah, is that?" In the air, search planes streaked by, their engines roaring, and the light from them shone down like a beacon, igniting new hope for the survivors in the room. High in the sky, a massive skyport was anchored in mid-air, an indomitable symbol of the military alliance. From the lead helicopter, the deep voice of Commander Zhao Liang echoed through a loudspeaker, reaching every corner. This is Zhao Liang, in charge of Squad 3 of the military vanguard. To all citizens, please hold on and do not give up hope. The military has dispatched 10 squads to carry out rescue operations. We expect to have the situation under control within 3 hours. Residents who are able, please move immediately to your rooftops or the highest point available. We will send personnel to assist you. The announcement was like a wind that blew away the curtain of despair. Down on the streets, survivors clutched their weapons, their faces beaming with joy. One person shouted, their voice full of excitement, "This is great, rescue is here. Everyone, follow me to the roof. Let's go." Zhao Liang's voice continued to ring out, deep and reassuring. Residents who cannot move, find a hiding place immediately and wait patiently for rescue. The weak who had been consumed by fear were now so overjoyed their eyes welled up with tears. One person choked out, "We're saved. This nightmare is finally about to end." In the room, the three people, including Jia, couldn't hide their joy. They burst out laughing, their eyes sparkling with hope as they continued to listen to Zhao Liang. "Everyone, please ensure your own safety and avoid getting infected. Please believe that our team will never abandon anyone." A man in a business suit hurriedly pointed outside, his face radiant, shouting with excitement. Luo Han was right. The military really came to save us. Hearing this, Luo Han clenched her fists, her eyes sparkling with joy, as she cheered, "This is wonderful." As Zhao Liang's deep voice continued to broadcast from the speaker, he suddenly paused, as if sensing something was wrong. "We will do our best to help every single one of you," he continued, but his gaze involuntarily shifted to the sky, a hint of confusion on his face. "Ah." At that exact moment, a cold, mechanical voice from the system rang out, cutting through everything, to ensure the normal progression of the game, eliminating all interfering factors. As soon as the announcement ended, the aircraft in the sky suddenly exploded, turning into countless sparkling fine dust particles in the air. Witnessing the horrifying scene, Yunqi and everyone around were stunned, their bodies frozen solid. Debris from the plane rained down like iron, crashing into the city's skyscrapers, which were gradually collapsing. In just an instant, sturdy buildings shook and came crashing down, creating earth-shattering explosions. The poor citizens, who had just been desperately fleeing the zombie horde, now had to scramble in panic to avoid the massive concrete blocks raining down on them. Earth-shattering explosions echoed ceaselessly across the ground, and thick smoke and dust obscured their vision. Realizing the situation was becoming increasingly dire, Yunqi, Lu Xin, and their teammates hurriedly rushed forward. Their steps were urgent, without a moment's hesitation, as continuous explosions rang out, turning the scene into a terrifying sea of chaos. Yunqi tightened his grip on his sword, its steel blade flashing coldly, and thrust it hard into the ground to create a stable anchor. Fortunately, just before the building completely collapsed, he managed to pull Lu Xin back from the brink of death. Behind them, three people, including Jia, were left behind, sinking into a panic as they felt death closing in to claim them. "Yunqi!" Lu Xin cried, tears streaming down her face, desperately pleading. "Save me!" But how could he be blamed? The weight of them both was draining his strength, causing him to slip faster. He gritted his teeth and cursed inwardly. "Damn it, this really is a hell difficulty start." Just then, the system screen flashed, displaying a cold notification. To ensure this area maintains a sufficient number of living NPCs for players to eliminate, a supply drop is now being deployed. NPCs, find the supplies on your own and try to survive. Hearing the announcement, Yunqi's expression immediately turned grim. He quickly calculated his next move, and tightening his grip on Lu Xin's hand, he turned and said in a decisive voice, "I'll count to 3, and we're jumping down there." His words startled Lu Xin, who panicked and cried out, "What? Wait, from this high up, even if we don't die, we'll be seriously injured." But before she could even process it, Yunqi had already pulled her into a tight embrace. Without a moment's hesitation, he leaped down from the precarious height. Lu Xin screamed in terror, her hands clinging tightly to him, as if he were her last lifeline. On the ground below, debris and zombies swept past like a deadly wind. With incredible agility, Yunqi leaped from one point to another, his skillful movements like a dance on the edge of life and death. With a loud thud, he landed safely on the ground while carrying Lu Xin without a single scratch. That's the main character's plot armor for you. Everything around them seemed to be just a backdrop to highlight Yunqi's excellence. His voice rang out, calm but firm. "We're okay." Lu Xin slowly opened her eyes, and as her gaze shifted forward, she saw he was still carrying her. Momentarily flustered, she quickly said, "Thank you, Yunqi." She hastily slid to the ground, her eyes scanning the surroundings to assess the situation. While Lu Xin was still lost in thought, unsure of where to go next, Yunqi was already striding forward with steady steps. She was slightly startled when her eyes suddenly caught sight of a supply crate lying alone amidst the rubble. Lu Xin exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. "It's the supplies." She suddenly froze, as if she had just realized Yunqi's intention. Did he choose to jump down here because he had already seen the supply crate? She thought to herself, her eyes following his determined back as he advanced toward the supply drop. The more she thought about it, the more incredible it seemed that in such a dangerous situation, he was still clear-headed enough to spot and aim for the supplies. Yunqi's adaptability was truly astonishing. On the other side, just as Yunqi approached the item box, a giant zombie suddenly lunged at him, its massive body like a moving mountain. With lightning-fast reflexes, he raised his gleaming steel sword, blocking the attack head-on. Though momentarily surprised by the monster's strength, he didn't falter for even a second. Yunqi unleashed a sharp slash, aiming straight for the horde of zombies swarming in from all directions. Realizing the situation was growing more critical, he immediately fell back, his sharp gaze shielding the bewildered Lu Xun behind him as the mutated zombie roared in fury. The ear-splitting shriek acted as a summons, causing the surrounding zombies to swarm towards them in droves. Lu Xun sensed the imminent danger, her face turning pale as her entire body trembled. The zombies had formed a deadly circle around them, and in a panic, she screamed, "Yunqi, we're surrounded." Lu Xun was frozen to the spot, her breath hitched, her panicked eyes waiting for the Grim Reaper's scythe to fall. But Yunqi was different, his eyes burned with determination, showing no intention of giving up. Facing the screaming horde, he spoke decisively. "The number of zombies is too high. In a moment, don't follow me. We split up and run." His words startled Lu Xun, who turned to him with a bewildered look. Her voice trembling, she asked, "Split up? What do I do if zombies chase me?" Yunqi didn't answer. He only glanced at her before dashing forward, his steps nimble and unconcerned with the danger, even managing to turn back and signal with a calm expression. "Then just kite the monsters." The sword in his hand swung, each sharp slash cutting through the air, felling the zombies that were frantically lunging at him. The system screen flashed, and a notification popped up. "You have eliminated one level 1 zombie, earning 100 accumulation points." Yunqi glanced at it, a slight smirk on his lips, before turning to remind Lu Xun, who was still dazed by the situation. "Remember what I said." Immediately after, he skillfully drew the attention of the zombie horde, causing them to change their target and chase after him. With the situation now critical, Lu Xun had no other choice but to run for her life, screaming Yunqi's name in desperation. Tears streamed down her face, her voice choked with sobs as she pleaded, "Even if you say so, I have no idea how to kite them." The two of them ran parallel to each other, not far apart. Occasionally, Yunqi would swing his sword, taking down any zombies that strayed too close with a single, clean slash. Seeing Lu Xun still stumbling as she fled, her face streaked with tears, he suddenly laughed, his tone light as if this were all just a game. "Kiting them like this is working out great, isn't it?" Seeing Yunqi reappear before her, Lu Xun's face lit up with joy. The sword in his hand swung, its gleaming steel blade cutting through the air as if it had locked onto its prey. At that moment, Yunqi was like a true hunter, and every move sharp and precise as he continuously took down zombies with powerful strikes. The system flashed with a notification. "You have eliminated 3 level 1 zombies, earning 300 accumulation points." Just as he finished off that group, another wave of even more bloodthirsty monsters rushed in from a different direction, roaring wildly. Lu Xun stood stunned, filled with disbelief. "How can there be another horde?" she thought to herself. Without a word, Yunqi tightened his grip on his sword and charged straight forward. His decisive, powerful slashes were like the Grim Reaper's scythe, powerfully sending one zombie after another to meet their maker. After dealing with the horde of minions, Yunqi tilted his head, his sharp gaze sweeping the area. When he looked again, not a single zombie remained. The scene on the ground was now brutal, with zombies scattered everywhere and the air thick with the stench of death. Lu Xun was still standing there, her heart pounding in fear. Realizing the danger had passed, she leaned against the wall, breathing a sigh of relief and whispering, It's safe now." Yunqi's lips curled slightly, his eyes sparkling with joy as he tightened his grip on his sword. A mysterious smile played on his lips. He thought to himself, with this 10 times point accumulation buff, killing zombies is a massive profit. Besides, she already sent over the forbidden weapon. Why didn't she send a handheld Gatling gun too? With our family's resources, that shouldn't have been difficult at all. He looked up, his sharp gaze falling upon the supply crate lying quietly amidst the rubble, and he hurried towards it. "I almost forgot about this precious treasure, nearly overlooked the supplies," he muttered, his eyes flashing with anticipation. The moment his hand touched the supply crate, the system lit up and an announcement rang out. "Congratulations, you have discovered a system-drop supply crate. You have received 1,000 accumulation points. Notice, you can view your accumulation points on the points leaderboard." This information made Yunqi's eyes widen. Right in front of him, the accumulation points leaderboard appeared clearly, showing the current rankings. First, Fang Qian, 3,432. Second, Yuan Jin, 3,063. Third, Yunqi, 2,840. After reading it, he was momentarily stunned, a sense of disbelief washing over him. "The accumulation points leaderboard? I'm on the same board as Fang Qian and Yuan Jin, those two are legends of the human alliance. An image of Fang Qian appeared in his mind, a burly man, solemnly gripping a treasured sword. A god of war from a common background, who rose to become a commander of the Alliance's army through countless military achievements. And then there was Yuan Jin, with his sharp mind and calm demeanor, the patriarch of the Yuan family, one of the 7 great families. Known as the brain of the Alliance Congress, the thought of being ranked on the same board as 2 illustrious figures like Fang Qian and Yuan Jin left Yun Qi feeling shocked and in disbelief. Even with the apocalypse upon them, the mere existence of these two was like a powerful morale booster for all the inhabitants of Blue Star, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt something was off. Over 3,000 accumulation points. If they got that many just by killing zombies, that's truly beyond human capability. He mused to himself, perhaps the 2 of them, along with their elite 5-man squads, accumulated points from scouting and collecting 10 supply crates. Just then, the system screen flashed, displaying a new message. Are you sure you want to be anonymous on this leaderboard? Without a moment's hesitation, Yun Qi quickly pressed the confirm button, a plan already forming in his mind. Come to think of it, they are both legends of Blue Star. If my name appeared next to theirs, it would definitely attract too much attention, so it's best to be a little more low-key, he muttered, his sharp gaze sweeping across the screen. Meanwhile, seeing Yun Qi standing silently, seemingly lost in thought, Lu Xin quietly approached and asked with concern, Yun Qi, what's in that supply crate? He bent down, placed his hand on the crate in front of him, and replied simply, let me see. With a careful movement, Yun Qi opened the lid, both of their eyes filled with anticipation. But when they looked inside, they couldn't help but be disappointed. There was no food at all. Inside the crate was a collection of medical supplies, 2 vials of level 1 healing potions, 2 flasks of level 1 combat burst potions, 2 vials of level 1 antidotes, and a sharp dagger. Seeing these items, Yun Qi's face suddenly lit up, breaking into an unbelievably radiant smile. He never expected to find medical supplies. Yun Qi quickly grabbed a vial of medicine to examine it closely, his eyes flashing with satisfaction. With these kinds of medicine vials, I can handle common injuries myself, he muttered, glancing at Lu Xin. He briefly considered, with these supplies, I probably don't need to bring her along anymore. After all, Lu Xin had no combat ability and tended to cause trouble. Seeing the inscrutable smile on his face, Lu Xin furrowed her brow slightly, filled with suspicion. Suddenly, Yun Qi was startled to realize something was wrong. While his guard was down, a zombie lunged forward, its sharp claws ready to strike. Fortunately, he managed to raise his sword in time, easily blocking the attack. The zombie flashed a grotesque smile, its murky eyes staring at him as if it wanted to devour him whole. Realizing this opponent was no ordinary foe, Yun Qi shouted, "Get back!" Lu Xin quickly turned and scrambled back, not forgetting to warn him, her voice filled with worry. "Got it, you be careful." Yun Qi yanked his sword back, the steel blade flashing in the air. The zombie paused for a moment, unable to react in time. Taking a deep breath, he delivered a decisive slash, sending the massive monster staggering backward. But this zombie was not easy to deal with. It roared and quickly got back up, ready to retaliate with terrifying strength. The situation grew more and more critical as the zombie charged forward at lightning speed, as if certain it would tear Yun Qi to shreds. He was momentarily bewildered, a hint of fear flashing in his eyes as its sharp claws swung at him. In that life-or-death moment, he dodged to the side, avoiding the fatal blow. The scene was now utterly chaotic. Loud explosions echoed continuously, with thick smoke and dust throwing everything into confusion. Despite this, Yun Qi retreated step by step, maintaining his resolve, his eyes still burning with the will to fight. Yun Qi silently sized up his opponent, realizing the zombie before him was no ordinary type. It was more dangerous than any monster he had ever faced, and a look of contemplation crossed his face as a question rose in his mind. This one has a small frame like Lu Xin, but its strength is twice that of other zombies. Could it have mutated into a monster far beyond level 1? Without hesitation, he summoned his metal weapon, the steel blade gleaming coldly in his hand. Taking a deep breath, Yun Qi decisively injected the combat stimulant vial into his arm, preparing to counterattack. "This zombie is a real problem. Looks like I have to use this," he muttered. The system immediately lit up. A notification sounded. "You have injected a level 1 combat stimulant. All combat attributes increased by 20%. Duration, 10 seconds. After reading it, Yun Qi couldn't help but panic. Only 10 seconds? Is this medicine a fake? He cursed inwardly, his mind in chaos. Before he could even think of a plan, the zombie suddenly roared and charged straight at him with terrifying speed. With no other choice, Yun Qi gripped his sword tightly and rushed forward to meet it. The sharp blade plunged straight into the monster's shoulder, sending it staggering back, but the blow only enraged it further. The zombie shrieked madly, its murky eyes blazing with bloodlust. To his surprise, its long, pale fingers clutched the blade, holding it fast and preventing him from pulling it out. while its other hand swiped its claws directly at him. Yunqi tried to dodge, but a small wound appeared on his face, with dark red blood trickling out. From a distance, Luo Xin witnessed the entire battle, her face pale with fear. She shouted in a trembling voice, "Yunqi!" Despite trying to retreat, he was cornered by the zombie. It attacked wildly, its claws slashing through the air, forcing him back against the wall. Yunqi's face now showed clear panic, his mind racing to find a way out of this perilous situation. The zombie roared madly, using its terrifying strength to pin Yunqi against the wall, leaving him unable to resist. His eyes slowly filled with despair. His mind spun, searching for an escape. "Damn it, my power boost has run out. I should have grabbed all the supplies earlier." He cursed inwardly, glancing at the still-open supply crate with deep regret. He had to find a way to get to it immediately. While he was lost in thought, the zombie suddenly roared, its scream shaking the area. Gritting his teeth, Yunqi made a reckless decision. With no time to hesitate, he threw a powerful punch with his bare hand, aiming straight for the monster's face. At the same time, the sword in his hand pierced its body, the steel blade flashing in the air. Seizing the moment, he yanked the sword out and dashed forward, leaving the stunned zombie behind. His goal was now clear, the supply crate right in front of him. But this zombie was no simpleton. It seemed to realize his intention. It roared and charged at a terrifying speed. Yunqi was stunned, thinking to himself, "Damn it, it caught up so fast." Just then, a voice rang out beside him, "Catch!" 2 vials suddenly flew through the air, and Yunqi swiftly reached out and caught them. He looked up, a flash of disbelief in his eyes. He never expected Luo Xin, in this critical moment, would risk her life to run to the supply crate and continuously throw potions to help him. This act made Yunqi to see her in a completely different light. Before Yunqi could even process her surprising action, Luo Xin bravely raised her dagger, her eyes blazing. Although her heart was pounding with fear, she shouted loudly, her voice echoing to attract the zombie's attention. "Over here! Look over here!" Despite trembling with fear, she still tried her best to do her part, swinging her dagger wildly to draw the monster's attention away from Yunqi. Tears streamed down her cheeks as Luo Xin fought while crying at a desperate yet determined figure. The sight made the zombie pause, momentarily stunned. Seizing the opportunity, Yunqi immediately stopped and prepared to act. With no time to hesitate, he quickly injected the 2 vials into his body. His eyes flashed with a mix of pride and surprise. "This woman is actually quite useful in a pinch," he muttered. A slight smirk touched his lips. The mutated zombie roared in anger, its bloodthirsty eyes snapping back towards him. But now, Yunqi was stronger than ever. He tightened his grip on his sword and advanced step by step, each footfall radiating an overwhelming aura, ready to repay all the damage the monster had inflicted. The system flashed, continuously announcing, "You have injected a level 1 combat burst potion. All combat attributes increased by 20%, duration 10 seconds. You have injected a level 1 life potion, pain sensation reduced by 80%, duration 10 seconds. Yunqi's eyes were as cold as ice as he looked up at the zombie with a defiant gaze. It had thoroughly pissed him off. He roared, his voice full of power. "Next, these 10 seconds are a real man's time." The mutated zombie refused to back down. It leaped into the air, its sharp claws bared for an attack. Its speed advantage made the very air tremble with each movement. Yunqi didn't flinch, tightening his grip on his sword and charging forward. A decisive slash cut through the air, piercing the zombie's body before it could even react. He calmly stepped back, his eyes sharp, knowing that one blow wasn't enough to finish it, and raised his sword high. He delivered another fatal strike to the monster's back, the sharp steel blade slicing cleanly through, splitting its body in 2. It collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. Yet, even after being cut in half, the mutated zombie still roared in a furious rage. Extremely worried, Luo Xin rushed to his side and asked, "Yunqi, are you okay?" She quickly activated her healing magic, a gentle light emanating from her hands. As it enveloped the wounds on his body, she softly comforted him. "Let me help you with your injuries. Holy light." Yunqi watched calmly, feeling his body gradually recover under the warm light. He thought to himself, "Luo Xin is growing faster than I expected." He suddenly recalled the moment earlier when, despite her fear, she had bravely wielded a dagger to face the zombie and help him. That act made him see her in a new light, but meanwhile, Luo Xin was still focused on healing him, her heart filled with mixed emotions. "Yunqi is so strong, and he had already secured the supplies. He could have just left me, but he still risked his life to protect me," she thought, recalling the dangerous moment when he blocked the zombie's attack. Without him, she would have been dead long ago. A fire of determination ignited within her. She told herself she had to do her best to help Yunqi overcome any hardship. After a moment, Luo Xin smiled and announced, "There, all done." Yunqi was pleased as he watched the wound on his arm slowly close, feeling the warm and comforting magic. This magic was truly useful. Having a dedicated healer is more valuable than a crate of supplies, he thought, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. He walked over and picked up the small dagger lying alone on the ground, then handed it to Luo Xin. In a steady voice, he instructed, "Go kill that zombie. Just use this dagger to stab it in the heart." Although she understood Yunqi's words, Luo Xin couldn't hide her fear, her voice trembling. "Me? I should go?" His eyes were cold and firm as he lectured her sternly, each word piercing her heart. After all, no one knows what the future holds. The most important thing right now is to increase our strength. Not just me, you also need to accumulate points. Hearing those words, Luo Xin clenched her fists, her eyes flashing with resolve. She took the small dagger, thinking, Yunqi is right. I have to get stronger. I can't keep relying on him. Taking a deep breath to calm herself, she slowly approached the zombie, which was still growling menacingly. Clutching the dagger tightly, she raised the weapon high and shouted to muster her courage. With a decisive movement, she plunged the blade straight into the monster's heart. A spray of fresh red blood shot into the air, marking the end of the mutated zombie. It let out one last, weakening cry before falling into an eternal sleep. The system immediately lit up. A notification appeared before Luo Xin before she could even react. Killed a level 5 zombie, received 500 points. Congratulations, you have received an additional reward. Healing skill, level 1, single target skill. Has a certain healing effect on external wounds. Yes, Luo Xin spun around joyfully, her voice filled with excitement. Thank you, Yunqi. I got 500 points, and I even learned a new healing skill. Yes, but her words left Yunqi stunned, as if he had been struck by lightning. He collapsed to his knees, his face contorted in agony as tears streamed down. 500 points. If I used that corn thing 10 times, wouldn't that be 5,000 points? Enough to surpass the Alliance's war god and the council president to take the top spot. The more he thought, the more he regretted it, his voice trembling, and it even came with a bonus skill. Oh, heavens, are there any more level 5 zombies for me to slay? Seeing him crying and complaining, Lu Xin asked with surprise and concern, Yunqi, what's wrong? He shook his head and slumped to the ground, his voice weak. It's nothing, just feeling a bit emotionally drained all of a sudden. He silently observed his surroundings. With a probing gaze, Yunqi tried to regain his composure to scout the situation, his face turning serious. His eyes grew pensive. I have to keep this Helen close. If someone else snatched her away, wouldn't that be too much of a bargain for them? With that thought, he shot to his feet and reminded Lu Xin in a decisive tone. Let's go. We're out of supplies. We must find a safe and stable shelter first. Seeing her still standing there, he frowned slightly with a look of surprise, but Lu Xin's face suddenly lit up as she pointed forward, her voice filled with excitement. Yunqi, I know a place with tons of supplies. The scene quickly changed. They arrived at a desolate area in the city, where the streets were in chaos, littered with zombie corpses and stained with dried blood. Lu Xin observed, unable to hide her surprise as she said, Yunqi, it looks like a fierce battle took place here. The zombies have all been eliminated. Yunqi nodded, his gaze sharp as he warned in a low voice, we still need to be careful. If there are any stragglers, it'll be big trouble. He ducked into a corner, silently observing and scanning the area. Suddenly he froze and muttered, the shelter you mentioned. Don't tell me it's the Sao Lone apartment complex across the street. Isn't that your home? His words startled Lu Xin. With a bewildered look, she quickly asked, How? How did you know? Yunqi turned back, explaining with a faint smile. Back at the office, I overheard some male colleagues talking about walking you home many times. I'm not an idiot. It wasn't hard to figure out. Lu Xin blushed and quickly clarified. When I thought of our fridge full of food, I really wanted to come home to see if my parents are safe, but I'm not tricking you. My mom loves to stockpile things, especially organic vegetables. She often brings a lot back from the farm and stores it in the attic, enough to last us for a long time. After speaking, she turned away, her cheeks flushing as she whispered softly, If you want, you could settle down at my place. I'd like to introduce you to my parents too. However, Yunqi seemed to pay no mind to Lu Xin's offer, lost in thought as he considered his next move. We've already come this far. Wouldn't it be a waste to give up now? Besides, the zombies around here have already been cleared out. Let's just treat it as a supply run, he thought to himself. After a moment of hesitation, he turned around and said decisively, Let's go. Lu Xin was overjoyed and quickly took the lead, her voice excited. Okay, it's right ahead. But Yunqi suddenly stopped in his tracks. His sharp eyes noticed something unusual. He quickly grabbed her hand and warned in a low voice, Wait, before we set out, do you remember all the things I repeatedly told you? Lu Xin was startled for a moment, then smiled knowingly and replied, Don't worry, I remember everything. His warnings flashed through her mind as she slowly recounted them in a confident voice. In the apocalyptic world, besides zombies, there are 3 types of people you must never provoke. She continued, her eyes lighting up as she recalled. First, people who mastered hand-to-hand combat before the apocalypse, assuming equal attributes. They have superior combat power. The system flashed, displaying the class information. Assassin, main attribute, agility. Secondary attribute, strength. Note: melee attacks ignore 15% of the target's defense. Lucian continued, especially assassins, they can have profession-specific skill enhancement effects. She paused for a moment, then continued. Second, marksman. Right now, everyone is a level 1 rookie. A single bullet can take someone down instantly. But in this game, only marksmen are equipped with guns, making them extremely dangerous. If you encounter one, you have to run fast. The system then displayed the marksman profession information. Main attribute, agility, sub, attribute, spirit. Note: when attacking from a distance, accuracy rate increases by 25%. Finally, Lucian repeated Yunqi's words. Third, beast tamers. They don't need to fight directly. They just need to command their pets to charge in for them. At this current stage, they are the kings of the rookie zone. The system confirmed the beast tamer profession. Main attribute, constitution. Sub, attribute, spirit. Note: each time a pet is activated, the user's constitution increases by 3%, and the pet's attack power increases by 3%, stacking up to a maximum of 3 times. But the more she spoke, the more confused Lucian became, murmuring. Looking at it this way, among the 6 basic professions, 3 of them are considered dangerous elements. Are they really that strong? Yunqi nodded in confirmation. His sharp gaze swept across the surroundings, carefully scouting for any strange signs. Yunqi said in a serious tone, his eyes sharp, "You have to be especially careful with marksmen. If you get into a conflict with them, you might die without even knowing why." But just as he finished speaking, he was startled to see a flashing red light aimed directly at his chest. With lightning-fast reflexes, he immediately jumped to the side, narrowly dodging a bullet that grazed past him. Realizing he was under attack by a marksman, Yunqi was bewildered, his heart filled with disbelief. A sniper rifle? Lucian, standing beside him, turned pale with fear and quickly shouted, "Yunqi!" From a distant corner, a second bullet shot straight towards him. Yunqi was startled as a sense of danger washed over him. The marksman kept his gun at the ready, coldly reporting over the radio. "Captain Han, 2 zombies have been spotted in the southeast sector of Area A." The situation sent Yunqi into a panic, thinking to himself, "A marksman? Speak of the devil." Realizing the situation was becoming more critical, he and Lucian quickly raised their hands and calmly explained, "Don't shoot, we're just passersby." But the marksman didn't let his guard down, his voice as cold as ice. "Stay right there. If you want to live, prove that you're still human." Yunqi was stunned, muttering, "Prove it." "What? How are we supposed to prove that?" While the two were still confused, a mutated zombie suddenly crawled out from under a car, roaring wildly, its bloodshot eyes staring intently at them. Without hesitation, Yunqi gripped his sword tightly and finished the monster with a single, decisive slash in an instant. The system flashed with a notification. Killed a level 1 zombie. Received 100 points. The corner of his mouth curled into a strange smile. "I'm just doing this to lower their guard and earn some points on the side. This is pretty easy, isn't it?" He immediately focused, swinging his sword continuously to take down the other zombies nearby while reminding Lucian, "Don't just stand there, stunned. Hurry up and finish them." He added with a hint of teasing in his voice, "They're free points." Lucian quickly nodded, her face still showing a trace of worry. She summoned the small dagger Yunqi had given her, took a deep breath, and decisively stabbed it into a zombie. The system continued to announce, "Killed a level 1 zombie, received 10 points." The notifications kept popping up, and their scores skyrocketed. Killed a level 1 zombie, received 100 points. Killed a level 1 zombie, received 10 points. Killed a level 1 zombie, received 100 points. The marksman couldn't stand the sight of this anymore. He angrily strode forward, gun in hand, and yelled, "You rotten punk, get over here with your girlfriend." Cut the act and listen to the marksman. Slightly disappointed, Yunqi immediately stopped, his eyes scanning the approaching group. Lucian, standing beside him, blushed shyly upon hearing the word girlfriend, her cheeks turning a noticeable shade of pink. The lead marksman ordered in a cold voice, "Check them carefully for any obvious open wounds." Yunqi scanned the group before him, realizing they belonged to a well-organized alliance, with some standing guard with guns, while others were mages conjuring mystical lights to support their teammates. He mentally assessed them. Most were marksmen, and a few were mages. The rest were knights, warriors, and beast tamers, each in an optimal combat position. The apocalypse had just begun, yet they'd already formed such a complete 5-man squad. Their leader must be a professional. Could they be from the military? After a thorough check, a young woman turned to report to the blonde marksman, the vice captain. "These two have no wounds." The marksman chuckled. pushing up his glasses, his voice tinged with amusement. Running wild in this chaos without getting infected, and then running into our enforcement squad. You two are really lucky. Huh? A surprised Yunqi stepped closer to ask, Enforcement squad? Are you the police from the city's public security bureau? The marksman smiled and nodded. That's right, he continued, his voice filled with pride. When the apocalypse started, the city center was overrun with zombies. Captain Han led us to raid the armory, set up a defensive line, and cover everyone's retreat. All the survivors on the nearby streets have been evacuated, and we're about to pull out too. So honestly, you two are pretty lucky, I see. Yunqi sighed softly at his words, his expression turning thoughtful. No wonder we only saw zombies on the way here and no one else, he thought. Just then, the sound of steady footsteps approached, and a man appeared. His face was stern and his features were cold. The group immediately stood at attention, respectfully greeting, Captain Han. Captain Han. The man was Han Yi, captain of the enforcement squad. He walked up to Yunqi and without hesitation, got straight to the point. In a low voice, he said, I am Han Yi, captain of the enforcement squad. Are you two survivors who just arrived? Why did you come to this area? Hearing this, Lu Xin quickly stepped forward, her voice a mix of anxiety and hope as she faced Han Yi. Captain Han, sir. We're residents from the Luwan apartment complex. Do you know what the situation there is like now? My mother is still inside. Han Yi's expression grew stern, his gaze darkening as he replied, The Luwan complex, yes. That place is extremely dangerous. If your mother is still in there, I'm afraid there's no hope left. The words struck Lu Xin like lightning, leaving her completely stunned. In disbelief, she stammered, What? What? She staggered, nearly losing her footing, but Yunqi quickly steadied her with a reassuring look. Seemingly used to such grim situations, he looked up and asked Han Yi in a calm voice, Captain Han, all communications are down. Many people can't send messages out. How can you be so certain that there are no survivors left in that complex? Hearing that, the marksman vice captain immediately stepped forward and yelled angrily, You punk! Are you questioning our Captain Han? Han Yi raised a hand to stop him. It's fine, he said calmly. He turned, his gaze fixed on the Luwan apartment complex, which was shrouded in smoke and dust. Then he explained, My teammates and I have been constantly sending messages through the world channel to contact any survivors. Initially, we got responses from the Luwan complex, but for the last half hour, there has been complete silence, he said in a low voice. His gaze swept over the zombies scattered on the ground. Moreover, most of the zombies that swarmed here came from the Luwan complex. I'm afraid that whole area has completely fallen. Even if you guys have weapons, individual strength alone won't be enough to deal with that many zombies. After hearing this, Yunqi fell into deep thought, his eyes filled with contemplation. He seemed to have already formulated a plan of his own, looking at the still weak Lu Xin, whose red-rimmed eyes refused to accept the truth. He thought to himself, Captain Han's judgment is correct. I'm afraid Lu Xin's parents are gone. Going to District 6 now isn't a wise choice, especially when she can barely control her emotions. Han Yi looked at him, his voice low and steady but full of weight. I advise you not to risk your lives. Right now, I believe your parents would only want you to survive safely, not to rush to your deaths. Just as everyone was lost in thought, unsure of what to say, a loud noise suddenly erupted from behind. The whole group quickly turned their heads, their tense gazes fixed on the source of the sound, as a scout came running frantically, anxiously reporting to Han Yi. It's bad, Captain. Something is charging from the north, and this time, it's not zombies. Han Yi was startled, his sharp eyes peering into the distance. What? From the hazy distance, a strange phenomenon appeared, leaving Yunqi stunned in disbelief. A herd of mutated wild boars, with abnormally large bodies, were frantically charging as if they were targeting only humans to attack. Everyone panicked, witnessing this horrifying scene for the first time. Mutated wild boars. Han Yi quickly regained his composure, rushing forward with the warriors of his squad, his steady voice ringing out, Everyone, to your positions, prepare for battle. He gave a decisive command, ordering all marksmen to move up and form a defensive circle on the front line. The marksmen immediately formed up, guns aimed straight ahead, ready to face the herd of mutated boars. Han Yi continued to assign the knights and warriors to the second line, ready to provide support at any moment. The beast tamer will guard the intersection, signal immediately if anything happens. Everyone was serious, their tense eyes watching the impending battle. Observing the completed formation, Han Yi spoke again. The remaining mages are on the rear line. When the battle starts, don't hold back. Use all your healing spells for me. The two mages nodded and replied curtly. Understood. Yunqi stood to one side, observing Han Yi's stern face, and couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. Truly worthy of being the city's public security enforcement team, the apocalypse only started less than 8 hours ago, yet this squad is already coordinating so smoothly. He thought to himself, a flash of amazement in his eyes. The herd of mutated boars charged forward with the force of a storm, and the vice captain quickly turned to report to Captain Han. The mutated boars are in range. Without a moment's hesitation, Han Yi roared, "Fire!" As soon as the word was out, the entire squad took their stance. Gunshots thundered as bullets tore through the air, felling the mutated wild boars to the ground. Blood stained the ground a deep crimson. The scene was now utter chaos, thick with smoke and dust, the roars of the beasts mingling with the sound of gunfire. The first few mutated boars fell, but the ones behind them leaped high into the air, charging straight into the formation with destructive force. Seeing the critical situation, the vice captain hurriedly shouted, "Captain Han, this is bad. If this keeps up, those monsters are about to break through our defensive line." Although feeling helpless, Han Yi tried to remain calm, but he couldn't help but curse inwardly. "Damn it, even our strongest firepower can't take them down. There's no other way." Before the mutated boars get any closer, he roared, "Everyone, fall back behind the barricades now." Hearing the order, the marksmen immediately signaled to each other, shouting, "Out of ammo! Fall back! Quick!" But one marksman, while hastily retreating, suddenly stopped, clutching his leg in pain. "My leg is injured. I can't make it." The giant mutated boar spotted its easy prey, charging forward at a terrifying speed, leaving him to only look up in despair. Han Yi shouted, his voice filled with worry, "Old Wang." Fortunately, at that life-or-death moment, a high-pressure stream of water shot out, knocking the mutated boar backward and saving Old Wang's life. Han Yi and the others turned to look, stunned. It turned out Yun Qi had used a high-pressure water nozzle in the nick of time, aiming precisely at the monster. This action left Han Yi astonished, admiring him inwardly. Using a high-pressure water gun to stop a mutated boar. What a genius. He looked at Old Wang, who was limping over, his voice relieved. "Old Wang, you really dodged a bullet this time." Turning to Yun Qi, Han Yi was full of gratitude. "Brother, thank you for stepping in and saving one of our comrades." "Ha." Yun Qi chuckled, shaking his head and explaining, "Don't get the wrong idea. These monsters are very sensitive to the smell of blood. I just didn't want the scent of human blood to attract even more monsters." Yun Qi's face was pensive, his gaze shifting in another direction. Initially, he had planned to quietly observe the strength of the law enforcement team before making a move, but he didn't expect to reveal himself so soon. Before them now was a dense herd of mutated boars, their numbers terrifyingly large. He sighed, feeling dejected. Just how many of these things are there? Han Yi quickly raised his hand to signal, his voice decisive. "Rocket team, prepare to provide support." Hearing the command, the entire team immediately tightened their grip on their weapons, shouting in unison, "Roger." They charged straight into the horde of mutated boars, loud explosions echoing as dust and smoke filled the air, the continuous blast pushing the monsters back. Boar carcasses flew everywhere, blood and bones littering the ground, but even when reduced to bare skeletons, some of them stubbornly got back up, staggering towards the humans. Yun Qi witnessed it all, lost in thought. This isn't working. If we don't hit their weak spots, no matter how many times we blast them, the mutated boars won't be easily destroyed. This is too inefficient. Someone on the team shouted, "Fire a few more shells, blast these beasts into mincemeat." Another comrade sighed in response, "I wish we could, but unfortunately, that was our last shell." Just then, Yun Qi's sword flashed, stopping the artillery shell. He stepped forward, his gaze icy, holding the massive shell in his hand. "Let me borrow your launcher for a bit," he said, snatching the weapon from the young man without waiting for a reply. With a decisive move, he aimed straight at the herd of mutated boars and fired. A shell whizzed through the air, missing the monsters and slamming straight into the building behind them, creating an earth-shattering explosion. The herd of mutated boars, agitated by the blast, roared wildly and charged even faster towards the law enforcement team, plunging the situation into chaos. The young soldier was stunned, yelling in bewilderment, "Newbie, what the hell are you doing? You missed completely." The building trembled and collapsed with a deafening roar, bringing down huge chunks of rock and debris that crushed the mutated boars, pinning them to the ground amidst their final roars. The thick dust and smoke slowly cleared, revealing a battlefield littered with boar carcasses. The sight left the young soldier speechless, stammering, "What? They were stopped?" Meanwhile, the corner of Yun Qi's mouth curled up into a smug smile. Everything had gone according to his plan. Han Yi, standing nearby, couldn't hide his amazement, thinking to himself, "Looks like my prediction was right, and this kid really is talented." But just as everyone thought the battle was over, a mutated boar suddenly struggled back to its feet. Bloodthirsty eyes were fixed on them. Realizing the critical situation, Han Yi roared, "The monsters are starting to recover. There are too many of them. Everyone stay sharp." His gaze swept over the columns of smoke rising from the rubble. When Yun Qi quickly pointed into the distance, his voice decisive, "Captain Han, do you see the nuclear power plant and the black smoke from the exhaust pipe over there? The automatic protection system for the emergency generator probably hasn't exceeded 72 hours yet. Han Yi was startled as if he'd just realized something. So that's how it is. He turned to the vice captain, his voice calm but urgent. Vice Captain, I remember you used to be a professional electrician. Take your tools and lead some men to the cable pit in Area B. Strip the insulation from the broken section to expose the copper core. The vice captain nodded immediately. Roger. Over here, drops of oil from the machinery dripped onto the ground, forming mottled puddles. The vice captain led a few people and hurried towards the oil-spilled area, preparing for the next battle. Everything seemed ready for a new plan in the suffocatingly tense atmosphere. The mutated wild boars, having recovered their strength, charged madly towards the group, their hooves stomping so hard the ground shook. The vice captain, holding the cable, rushed forward and signaled to Han Yi, Captain Han, the cable is here. Without delay, Han Yi roared. Throw it into the water. Now. Everyone else, get back. The vice captain immediately threw the cable towards the horde of monsters, shouting loudly, Get back. A powerful, high-voltage current surged down to the ground, traveling directly to the charging herd of mutated wild boars. Before they could even realize the danger, they continued their ferocious advance as if wanting to devour everyone. Suddenly, a deafening explosion erupted. You're toast, pigs. The mutated wild boars were hit by the powerful electric current, screaming in agony, their bodies convulsing violently. The system continuously flashed with a barrage of notifications. Successfully eliminated one level 1 mutated wild boar, reward 200 points. Successfully eliminated one level 1 mutated wild boar, reward 200 points, and a series of similar notifications followed. A large number of mutated wild boars collapsed, their bodies piling up on the ground, while the survivors were left barely breathing. Yunqi watched the scene, unable to hide his excitement. After this wave, even if any mutated boars survive, their combat power will be reduced by 80%. Han Yi and the entire team were stunned by the terrifying effectiveness, muttering to themselves, as expected of an emergency generator, this current is unimaginably powerful. But Han Yi quickly regained his composure and explained, No, this isn't just because of the emergency generator. When the building collapsed, metal particles and salt mixed into the water, significantly increasing its conductivity, which is what created this effect. After speaking, he glanced at Yunqi, a hint of worry in his eyes. Yunqi just stood there, observing silently, as if secretly calculating something. But Han Yi couldn't help but admire Yunqi's ability to adapt in such a short amount of time. He had used the terrain and available resources to break the stalemate. The more he thought about it, the more astonished he became, his gaze sweeping over the smug smile on Yunqi's face. His adaptability is truly formidable. But as he looked at the herd of mutated boars still charging aggressively, Han Yi sighed, his voice low. It's a bit too early to celebrate victory. Yunqi tightened his grip on his weapon and charged towards the mutated boars alongside Han Yi and their comrades. He targeted a giant boar with a massive, barrel-chested body and bloodshot red eyes. It recognized him and leaped into the air, using its terrifying strength to overwhelm him. But Yunqi didn't flinch, raising his shield to block and skillfully pivoting back to maintain distance. Realizing this monster wasn't easy to deal with, he pondered, in terms of impact force alone, it's even stronger than a level 5 zombie. He observed his teammates struggling against the mutated wild boars. He fell into deep thought, unsure of what to do next. Just using a shield was fundamentally not enough to stop them. Just as expected, the panicked vice captain reported, Captain, we can't hold on any longer. Van Koy stood still, his sharp eyes quickly assessing the situation. If this drags on, it will be disadvantageous for us. I have to think of another way. While he was lost in thought, a ferocious mutated wild boar charged straight at him, its hooves kicking up dirt and rocks. Without a hint of fear, Van Koy tightened his grip on his weapon and rushed forward to confront it. Seeing his recklessness, Han Yi quickly turned and shouted, Hey, don't face it, head on. You'll be taken down instantly. Hearing the warning, Van Koy didn't flinch and raised his shield, his eyes cold. He calmly replied, If someone's getting taken down instantly, it definitely won't be me. While everyone was still stunned by his audacity, Van Koy slammed his shield onto the ground, shaking the entire road. The sword in his hand flashed, aiming straight for the mutated wild boar's glass-like eye, as the corner of his mouth curled into a smug smile. But this stupid boar. The mutated wild boar, unaware of the danger, charged forward madly, baring its fangs to attack. Just as planned, Van Koy swung his sword, the sharp steel blade plunging straight into its body. Red blood splattered everywhere. Seizing the moment the monster was injured, his eyes grew even more determined as he delivered a series of decisive strikes. He took down the giant wild boar with ease. After a brief battle, the system flashed. A notification rang out, successfully eliminated one level 1 mutated wild boar, reward 2,000 points. Van Koy smiled triumphantly, his deep voice commanding, Stupid pig, rest in peace. Suddenly, the system continued to announce, current total points, 5140. Acquired level 1 professional skill, Resurrect the Dead. Detailed information appeared clearly. Van Koi, NPC Village level 1, accumulated points 5140. Profession, Nether Knight. Strength 9, Agility 9, Spirit 10, Constitution 10, Compatibility 10%, Personal Talent, Lord of the Plains of Death. Professional specialization, none. Acquired skills, Resurrect the Dead. 4. Introduction to the level 1 skill, Resurrect the Dead. Resurrect one unit whose level does not exceed your own to serve you. After resurrection, the unit's level will automatically synchronize with yours. A unit can retain its NPC attributes from when it was alive. If those attributes are more than 2 levels lower than the user's current attributes, they will be adjusted to the user's attribute level -2, and all attributes will be increased by 5%. 6. Note, only one unit can be resurrected at a time. If the resurrection bond is cancelled, the target will die instantly. Currently unable to resurrect and control players as slaves. After reading the new information, a smug smile appeared on Van Koi's face, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Van Koi looked at the motionless mutated wild boar, his eyes flashing with excitement. Resurrect the Dead. I finally have a professional skill. He smiled smugly and immediately decided to test the power of this skill. With a confident voice, he spoke. Arise, my love. He raised his hands and whispered mysterious incantations. Oh no. As soon as the spell was finished, the mutated wild boar's eyes flared with a terrifying, bright red light. Just 1 second later, it slowly rose to its feet, as if it had never been defeated. A stream of green aura enveloped its body, making it look completely revived. The wild boar charged straight towards Yun-Chi, as if receiving an order from its master. The vice captain, standing behind, shouted in panicked confusion, "Newbie, get out of the way, quick! That boar isn't dead yet." While everyone was still panicking, Yun-Chi suddenly leaped and dashed forward. The sight left the entire team stunned. He jumped onto the back of the mutated wild boar, riding it like a knight, steering it through the crowd. The vice captain muttered in a daze, "A boar rider? A boar?" Hearing that name, Yun-Chi frowned and retorted, "Boar rider sounds so lame," but his eyes remained fixed on the mutated wild boar. A smug smile grew on his face. This boar's combat power was actually quite to his liking. He raised his sword high, leading the wild boar into battle. Sharp slashes cut through the air, the glint of steel flashing, taking down the mutated wild boars one by one with ease. The system continuously flashed with rapid notifications. You have successfully slain a mutated wild boar. Level 1. Reward 2,000 points. You have successfully slain a level 1 mutated wild boar. Reward 2,000 points. And a series of similar notifications rang out continuously, his score skyrocketing. Yun-Chi's bold actions left the vice captain, Han Yi, and the entire law enforcement team stunned, unable to believe their eyes. So strong, Yun-Chi was like a true knight, riding on the back of the giant mutated wild boar, steering it into the horde of monsters. The boar he controlled even bit fiercely into its own kind, making them howl in pain. The seamless coordination between him and the resurrected boar caused the mutated wild boars to fall one after another, their bodies piling up on the ground. The system continuously flashed with rapid notifications. You have successfully slain a level 1 mutated wild boar. Reward 2,000 points. Han Yi could no longer stand by and watch, slamming his sword into the ground, his voice resolute. Everyone, snap out of it and hold the line. Shooters with ammo, provide cover for that kid. Don't let him die, no matter what. The whole team immediately nodded. Roger. Bullets tore through the air, firing straight at the remaining mutated wild boars. Yun-Chi, transformed into the boar rider, continued to swing his sword, cutting down monster after monster with sharp slashes, the glint of steel flashing amidst the dust and smoke. Just a moment later, the battlefield gradually quieted down. The thick smoke and dust dissipated, revealing the corpses of mutated wild boars scattered everywhere. Yun-Chi observed with sharp eyes, the situation is almost under control. But when he saw a horde of zombies slowly approaching from a distance, he quickly made a decision. We just need to deal with these zombies and we'll be safe, he thought to himself, a determined glint in his eyes. Han Yi, seeing the favorable situation, turned back joyfully, his voice excited. After this battle, our mission will be perfectly complete. We can go home and see our families. Now, everyone, take up your weapons, and let's wipe out these monsters together. Hearing the command, the whole team raised their hands and cheered in unison. Yeah. But a sudden voice cut through their joy. Wait, don't kill them. Yun-Chi turned around in surprise, his eyes filled with confusion. Luo Xin, her face pale with fear, was approaching. He quickly asked, Luo Xin, what's wrong? She was trembling, her tear-filled eyes staring ahead as if she couldn't believe what was happening. Understanding her state, Yun-Chi turned his head to follow her gaze. What met his eyes was a pair of mutated zombies, their eyes empty and devoid of all reason, charging straight towards them, their mouths open and growling, wanting to tear Luo Xin apart. Luo Xin was in despair, tears streaming down her cheeks, her voice choked. "That's my parents." They noticed she was overcome by her emotions. Yunqi shouted, "Luo Xin, don't come over here." His face grew grim as he stepped forward, his sturdy back shielding her. He reminded her, his voice low but firm, no longer the person she was once familiar with. Han Yi realized the situation and immediately turned to shout at his squad, "What are you all spacing out for? Those are zombies over there. Everyone, grab your weapons." His voice boomed with authority. "Follow me, charge." The team responded in unison, "Sir, yes sir, charge." They rushed forward, weapons ready. Meanwhile, Yunqi, riding the mutated boar, zipped past the zombie couple who were once Luo Xin's parents, now nothing more than rampaging undead. Shrieking with their mouths wide open, they attacked relentlessly. As he leaped high into the air, commanding the boar to crush the surrounding zombies. Afterwards, he gracefully leaped to the ground, landing safely. But he had miscalculated. He was now surrounded by a horde of frenzied zombies. Surrounded from all sides, Yunqi froze, a troubled look in his eyes. "Crap, I've stumbled right into a zombie nest. Looks like I'm in for a tough fight." The moment he thought that, the zombies charged in unison, roaring ferociously. Yunqi was startled, his heart pounding with panic. A hail of bullets suddenly cut through the air, tearing into the horde and clearing a path for him. Seeing the tide turn, he looked back in surprise, and what met his eyes was the law enforcement squad's gunmen providing relentless cover fire. He glanced in another direction and was shocked to see Han Yi charging straight toward him, shield in hand. Without a shred of hesitation, this act caught Yunqi completely by surprise. He came closer, his deep voice tinged with a teasing tone. "You little punk, think you can just rush in alone? With the law enforcement squad here, don't even think about playing the hero all by yourself." The teammates behind him roared with laughter, chiming in. "That's right, we're all in this together. We can't let a kid like you hog all the points." Hearing that, Yunqi burst into laughter, his eyes gleaming. "All right then, let's make it clear. Every kill is first come, first served, so don't even try to snatch mine." The sound of battle cries mingled with the groans of zombies, plunging the battlefield into chaos as fierce clashes broke out one after another. Time passed, and 20 minutes later, Yunqi was swinging his sword, cutting down every zombie that dared to approach him. Han Yi, his face stern, relentlessly bashed the monsters with his shield, leaving 6 corpses piled on the ground. The once massive zombie horde was now reduced to a few scattered husks, no longer a threat. Exhausted, Yunqi plunged his sword into the ground and let out a sigh of relief. The battle is finally over. He sat down and started chatting cheerfully with the others. Good thing the law enforcement squad was here to help. Otherwise, facing that many zombies, I'd be half dead even if I survived. Just then, Luo Xin hurried over, her voice laced with concern. "Yunqi, are you injured? Let me heal you." But before he could even react, she came closer and softly chanted the spell, Holy Light. The wounds on his body began to close under the gentle glow. Seeing Luo Xin's face, her eyes red and welling up with tears, made Yunqi's heart ache. She bit her lip, her eyes filled with resolve. ***. My parents are gone now. If Yunqi dies too, I'll really be all alone in this world. As his wounds nearly closed, he gently reminded her, "I'm almost healed now. You should go say your final goodbyes to your parents." Luo Xin was stunned, asking blankly, "What?" Yunqi slowly got to his feet, tightening his grip on his sword as his somber gaze drifted forward. Just a moment ago, a giant boar had crushed a zombie right at her feet. When Luo Xin looked closer, she was horrified to realize it was her parents. They had now turned into screaming zombies, rushing toward her. Luo Xin's heart shattered as she lunged forward, screaming in agony, "Ah, Mom." Yunqi stood behind her, silently observing her every move with a contemplative look in his eyes. It turned out that his earlier charge was to give her a chance to say her final goodbyes. He gently handed her the treasured sword, his voice deep and steady. "Go on." Luo Xin took the sword with trembling hands and whispered, "Thank you." While the 2 mutated zombies roared incessantly, she stepped forward decisively. But even as zombies, her parents no longer recognized their pitiful daughter. They only growled, their cloudy eyes filled with despair. Tears streamed down Luo Xin's cheeks. She gripped the sword until her hands trembled, her eyes filled with unbearable pain as her voice choked out. "Dad, Mom, it's me, Xin." Standing behind her, Yunqi understood the pain in her heart. To personally put down one's own flesh and blood is something no one could easily do. He stepped forward and gently offered, "Or should I do it?" Luo Xin's body was still trembling as she spoke in utter helplessness. "Dad, your daughter is still alive, and I've even found a friend I can rely on." She looked up at the 2 zombies, who were still roaring incessantly, and said with a resolute voice, "Dad, Mom, I will live well from now on." With that determination, Luo Xin raised Yunqi's sword high, preparing to strike. So please, don't worry about me anymore. Not daring to witness the heartbreaking scene, she squeezed her eyes shut, her heart twisting in agony as the sword swung down. Blood splattered into the air, staining the chaotic scene crimson. The screams fell silent, leaving an agonizing stillness in their wake. Suddenly, a new notification appeared before Yunqi's eyes. Your undead ally has fallen in battle. The next unit can be resurrected in 3 minutes. This message left him speechless, just as Luo Xin, who had just put down her own parents, cried out in despair. Dad, Mom. Seeing her anguish, Yunqi hesitated for a moment, his gaze shifting to the mutated wild boar, his companion through thick and thin. Unable to contain himself, he dropped to his knees and wailed, Brother Boar. This act, however, surprised Luo Xin, who stared at him blankly. Yunqi stood there, tears streaming down his face, his voice filled with tragedy. This was a power greater than a level 5 undead, and yet it was killed by this girl with a single strike. Nearby, Han Tu was working hard to incinerate the corpses of the mutated boars, shouting, Hurry and burn all these zombie boars before they cause a secondary infection. And just like that, the battlefield was cleared. With no zombie boars left to reanimate, Yunqi helplessly reached out toward the mutated wild boar, crying, Brother Boar, get up. Just take a few steps for me. Seeing him cry so pathetically, Luo Xin, standing beside him, couldn't help but be confused. Yunqi, these are my parents. Why do you seem even sadder than I am? He turned back awkwardly, not knowing how to explain, and could only raise his hand and shout, Are there any mages free? We have an injured person over here who needs healing. They were both startled. Luo Xin quickly turned to say her goodbyes. Anyway, thank you for everything regarding my parents. You should get some rest first. I'm going over to help treat the injured. Yunqi nodded, his sharp, cold gaze darting in another direction, silently calculating. This mage corps has its duties but also many limitations, and it's certainly not short on mages. They probably wouldn't be wary of Luo Xin's abilities. Watching her back as she walked away, he began to formulate a plan of his own. Keeping Luo Xin busy for a bit would also help distract her from the pain. Suddenly, a voice echoed inside Yunqi's head. Hello? Is anyone there? The unexpected sound startled him. He quickly looked around but saw nothing, except for the suspicious look from Han Tu, who was standing nearby. Han Hai approached, beads of sweat on his forehead, his voice full of confusion. What's wrong? Yunqi. He shook his head, his gaze sweeping past Han Hai, and replied, You don't hear that? This question surprised Han Hai. Hear what? Yunqi immediately turned away, muttering, It's nothing, but inside, he grew even more confused. He thought communications were restored, but it turned out he was the only one who could hear this voice. Could it be coming from the game interface? The voice in his head kept rambling on. Why isn't anyone talking? Is this channel dead? Come on, someone chat for a bit. Yunqi thought with annoyance. So noisy. When did this game get a voice chat function? Just then, the system screen flashed. A new notification appeared before him. Group channels had unexpectedly popped up, ranging from squad, private chat, and party to the world channel. He frowned in confusion. Since when were there group channels like this? Before he could process it, the system updated again. Congratulations, you have joined the Apocalypse Walker 10 party. This notification startled Yunqi, and he felt as if he were being pulled into another dimension. A brilliant flash of light shot past, and when he opened his eyes, he was standing in a large room, surrounded by mysterious figures seated in chairs around a large table. He observed blankly, wondering, Is this my consciousness space? As his gaze swept over each person, his suspicion grew. But wait, among the NPCs, the party chat function isn't even enabled yet, so where did this 10-person group come from? There's no option to leave the group or invite friends either. Yunqi's eyes gradually turned cold as he realized something was off. All the members of this group had been fixed from the very beginning. He wondered if the others had any more information. Someone in the room suddenly spoke up, their voice filled with doubt. Excuse me, what is this group about? Yunqi looked up. He met the smiling gaze of a mysterious person who spoke up. You don't even know. Number 7, which family are you from? When your family gave you times that thing asterisk, didn't they explain anything? He frowned at the speaker. In a confused tone, he asked, What thing? Instinctively, his gaze fell upon the treasured sword placed neatly on the table. A thought flashed through his mind. If they were talking about something the family sent recently, it could only be the sword his eldest sister had sent. Could this sword hold some kind of secret? The person in seat number 5 smirked and replied, Don't try to pry into the identities of others in this group. Even though we are all Apocalypse Walkers, we can't say for sure if we'll be friends or foes in the future. Hearing this, Yunqi grew even more bewildered. He frowned and asked directly, Let me ask, what exactly is this Apocalypse Walker identity you're all talking about? The woman in seat number 5 was about to speak, but before she could, the man in seat number 7 burst out laughing. Raising a hand to cut her off, he said, I know. The Apocalypse Walkers is the code name for the 10 people who possess the Titan Divine artifacts. His voice echoed with excitement. 3 months ago, the Titan A. I detected an anomaly that was about to descend upon the world, so it created 10 divine artifacts and gave them to the 10 most powerful figures in Zhengdu. These divine artifacts are like a virus implanted into the Apocalypse game and carrying an encrypted program. They constantly analyze game data to upgrade themselves. The possessors of the Titan Divine artifacts gain a special advantage. In other words, they have a built-in cheat. This makes them very difficult for other players to kill. After hearing the explanation, Yun-Chi fell into deep thought. His gaze fell to the blade of annihilation in his hand. In that case, he thought, is this sword the divine artifact allocated to the Yun family? He thought to himself, they clearly knew this thing could increase my chances of survival, yet Dad and my eldest sister still gave it to me, the one who ran away from home. That realization left him speechless, an indescribable feeling welling up inside him. Seeing his silence, the man designated number 7 sitting next to him called out softly, Hello, number 7, are you still there, number 7? Why'd you stop talking? It's pretty rude to just go silent all of a sudden, you know? Being called out, Yun-Chi was startled and quickly looked up, replying, Thanks, I'm listening. Is everyone in the group in Central Capital? What's the situation like there? Are the great families all right? Number 7 hesitated for a moment, then calmly explained what he knew. The altar issued an early warning, so all the great families recalled their disciples. And yet, you weren't in Central Capital. For now, the great families are all safe, except for the old master of the Shi family, who had the misfortune of turning into a zombie and was put down by his own son for the greater good. Hearing this, Yun-Chi breathed a sigh of relief, murmuring, Is that so? While he was somewhat relieved that the Yun family hadn't faced a major disaster, he couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Just then, number 7 looked at the system screen and asked in surprise, Everyone, I actually came into the voice chat because I wanted to ask, does anyone know what the distribution degree attribute is? Mine's only at 10%. What about you all? The system immediately displayed the information before him. Distribution degree, 10%. Number 6, sitting nearby, remained silent and didn't answer. Number 7 looked back at the information in front of him and continued, I'm also at 10%. He sighed in frustration. Looks like it's a fixed number for everyone. The system doesn't even explain its purpose. How annoying. Immediately after, the people in the room began to stand up one by one, not forgetting to say goodbye. Brothers, I'm heading out first. If you get any intel, remember to share it. See ya. Back in reality, Yun-Chi stood before the corpse of the zombie pig, his expression pensive. He paid it no mind, completely absorbed in thoughts about the recent conversation. That conversation was so sudden. We were all on guard against each other, making it hard to tell what was true and what was a lie. But one thing's for sure, this blade of annihilation is basically a cheat item in this game, so its effect is likely far beyond what I can imagine. He glanced at the treasured sword in his hand, musing, something this awesome doesn't also come with some kind of super AI system, does it? Just then, a brilliant light flashed, materializing into a small dragon that hovered in front of him. It flashed a smug grin and spoke, You finally figured it out. You're not as dumb as you look. Yun-Chi jumped, staring dumbfounded at the little dragon and stammering, Holy cow, a cheat like this actually exists. This is so cool. But right after, he quickly covered his mouth and glanced around nervously. Aren't you afraid of being discovered, appearing so brazenly like this? We'll be screwed if we get targeted. The little dragon laughed smugly and replied, Not just anyone is qualified to see me. Only the wielder of a Titan Divine weapon has this special honor. Watching it hover in the air, Yun-Chi asked, a mix of confusion and curiosity in his voice, So you're saying, you're the Titan A. I. Mainframe? The little dragon burst out laughing, its expression incredulous. What are you even thinking? With your current level of strength, how could you possibly control the mainframe? It smugly put on a pair of sunglasses and introduced itself. I'm a clone of the Titan A. You can call me Yanzu. Hearing the name Yanzu, Yun-Chi was at a loss for words, thinking disdainfully. Yanzu? Yeah, right, and I'm Dehua. But then he smiled, suddenly realizing that the altar was the savior of humanity. The mainframe must be with the Central Capital's military. He reached his hand toward the little dragon, his tone half joking and half serious. Yanzu, we're in quite a bit of danger right now. Give me a golden finger or something. If I die, you and the divine artifact will be left stranded out here. Hearing this, Nantu replied angrily, The golden finger has already been activated for you. Did you think your SSS rank Nether Knight class and the Son of the Plane talent were just dumb luck? With that said, it flew around in the air, creating a strange gust of wind as its voice continued to echo. Right now, I'm analyzing the game rules, but before the official players descend, the world's rules are incomplete. My abilities are also limited. Until then, host, you'll have to rely on your own strength to survive. Good luck. After giving its instructions, Nantu vanished before his eyes. Van Koy stood there, muttering helplessly, this system doesn't seem reliable at all, but there was no time to overthink it. He looked in another direction and thought to himself, to get more information, I'll probably have to wait until tomorrow when the players descend and the game of the apocalypse officially begins. Just then, Lohan ran over, calling out to Van Koy as she approached with a worried look on her face. What were you spacing out about just now? And following behind her was Han Hai. Van Koy shook his head and replied, it's nothing. Are you done with your business? Han Hai stepped forward with a smile. She just did our law enforcement team a huge favor, healing several team members who were seriously injured by the zombie pig. Lohan modestly waved her hand. It was nothing, just a small thing. Han Hai's eyes lit up with anticipation as he made an offer. What are your plans now? If you don't have anywhere to go, you could join our law enforcement team. Van Koy chuckled and replied decisively. Thank you for the kind offer, Captain Han, but I plan on leaving the city. Hearing this, Lohan quickly grabbed his hand, her cheeks blushing, and said determinedly, I'm going with you. Wherever you go, I'll go. Seeing how close the two were, Han Hai could only put his hands in his pockets and sigh, such a bold decision for two lovebirds. Well, I won't force you. Actually, leaving the city might be for the best. It's crawling with zombies in here. It's probably safer out there. Before leaving, Han Hai gave Van Koy an object, instructing, on your own 2 feet, you wouldn't make it out of the city, even by tomorrow. I have a hover car that should be enough to get you out. Consider it a thank you gift for killing that zombie pig and saving so many people. Holding the car key, Van Koy asked Captain Han with a hint of worry, you're giving the car to us? But what about yourself? Han Hai turned his head and smiled. I'll stick with my team members. We live and die together. With that, he walked towards his waiting teammates, not forgetting to turn back and add, you two be careful. Don't turn into monsters by the next time we meet, or you'll be a pain to fight. Understanding his good intentions, they both smiled back as a farewell. Suddenly, Lohan turned to Van Koy and asked in surprise, Van Koy, why did you turn down Captain Han just now? Wouldn't it be better to work with the law enforcement team than to go alone? He calmly explained, not necessarily. Nanto's words appeared in his mind. The system said the game rules are still incomplete. When the players descend, who knows what kind of mutations will occur? Crowded places will become even more dangerous. We can't go to your house anymore. It's best to find a place with few people, to hide for a while, and wait for the world to stabilize before heading to the central capital. With this in mind, he turned and asked Lohan, do you know the exact location of the farm where your mother used to buy vegetables? Lohan was startled by the question and quickly replied, I do. I've passed by it a few times, so I have some recollection. Van Koy started walking, not forgetting to turn back and tease, you're not giving me a fake address. To trick me into going to one of your relatives' houses, are you? She blushed, pouted, and ran after Van Koy. If you've got the guts, then don't go. He laughed, tossing the car key in his hand. All right, let's go. First, let's find the car Captain Han left for us. Soon enough, a large motorcycle appeared before them, leaving them both stunned. Yunqi was speechless, thinking to himself, I thought Captain Han was bringing a luxury car, but it turned out to be this badass motorcycle. The bike's powerful design and optimal speed made him incredibly excited. He exclaimed in admiration, it's so damn handsome. Under the flickering lights, the machine began to emit a sparkling glow. At the same time, debris floated in the air, and the scene shifted to Yunqi piloting the flying motorcycle, zipping through the air at high speed, with Luo Xin riding behind him. His face lit up with unconcealed excitement, and he couldn't help but gasp in admiration. The feeling of gripping the handlebars, its superior heat dissipation, and the perfect smoothness of this bike. It's truly every man's dream. Yunqi's enthusiasm made Luo Xin, who was sitting behind him, purse her lips in annoyance. Filled with resentment, she thought to herself, it's just a flying bike, what's the big deal? And here Yunqi is more excited about this machine than he is about me. He started the engine, turned back, and asked, ready? The bike immediately shot forward at a dizzying speed, causing Luo Xin to panic. She clung tightly to his neck, shouting, slow down a bit. Ignoring her pleas, Yunqi remained thrilled and yelled, let's take off. He shouted as he accelerated, the road behind them blurring as passers-by stumbled and stared in astonishment, the speed becoming increasingly insane. It caused the trees in the fields to shake violently, sending leaves scattering far and wide. Suddenly, Yunqi slammed on the brakes in front of a building, leaving Luo Xin still trembling, her eyes squeezed shut and her hands gripping him tightly. After calming down, she got off the bike and said gently, Yunqi, we're here. This is the farmhouse. My mom and I used to come here often. Suddenly, he grabbed her hand, pulling her back, his eyes turning sharp and cold. His voice lowered, wait, something's not right here. His words made Luo Xin's eyes widen in surprise, and just as Yunqi suspected, From behind a wall, two robots slowly emerged. Then, more robots appeared from all four sides, tightly surrounding them. The machines had gaunt, terrifying faces, their eyes glowing with a brilliant red light, leaving the pair completely stunned. However, Luo Xin remained calm and explained, "You must have lived in the city for too long, haven't you? Technology is very advanced now. Traditional agriculture has mostly been replaced by machines. On this farm, one person is enough to control the entire swarm of robots. The villagers just get to stay here and enjoy life." Yunqi narrowed his eyes, his sharp gaze sweeping over the robots. He questioned coldly, "Is killing people also part of enjoying life?" The question startled Luo Xin, who could only exclaim, "What?" Watching the approaching robots, he explained in a wary voice, "There's a metallic smell of blood in the wind. Plus, take a closer look. Every single one of these robots is stained with blood." The machines drew closer, exuding a terrifying aura. With a grim expression, Yunqi drew his weapon, remarking as he prepared himself, "Luckily, these agricultural robots are only strong. They usually aren't equipped with weapons. At least we don't have to deal with firearms." Behind him, Luo Xin also prepared to fight, nodding in agreement. Suddenly, a tiny robot bee flew over, its lower half flashing with a strange blue light that had shone directly on them. A panicked Luo Xin cried out, "Yunqi!" He remained calm, gripping his sword reassuringly and said, "It's fine. These small robots only have basic functions. They're no threat to us. I'm guessing their master is hiding somewhere behind them." Following us, the bee suddenly spoke in a robotic voice, "Men, get out of the car, and women, stay behind." The words stunned Van Koi, who then immediately flew into a rage. He clenched his fist and crushed the bee, causing it to struggle violently. Its internal system blared a warning signal that it had been destroyed, but that couldn't quell his fury. Lo Han stood behind him, her mouth agape in astonishment. After smashing the bee's system, Van Koi roared, "You think you can rob me with a tiny little agricultural bee? You dare tell me to get lost? I'll smash you to bits." It was as easy as pie. Suddenly, a system notification rang out. "Destroyed boss-level control device, received 10 points." Van Koi was stunned and mumbled, "Huh, this piece of scrap metal gives points too." After a moment of thought, he quickly realized something was off. Given the situation, it was highly likely that the farm owner was just like that female zombie from before, having turned into a mini-boss while still controlling all the robots in the area. With his eyes burning with determination, Van Koi smirked, his voice filled with excitement. "A single toy robot is worth 10 points. If I clear out this whole robot farm, I might just shoot straight to the #1 spot, huh?" Suddenly, he paused and turned to look at Lo Han. A hint of worry flashed in his eyes, but the greater the opportunity, the higher the risk. "We're out in the open, while the enemy is hiding in the shadows. If he uses the robots to ambush you, I'm afraid it'll be dangerous." Lo Han immediately cut him off, her voice resolute. "Van Ko, don't worry about me. I was mentally prepared for this the moment I chose to follow you. I want to be your comrade, and watch your back. Even if I die, I will never become a burden or get in your way." Her resolute words made Van Koi pause, momentarily taken aback. He casually tossed the shattered components of the bee to the ground and remarked, "Stop talking so easily about dying. With a will like that, it'd be a shame if you didn't live to be an old woman." He then pulled a metallic gold device from his pocket, handed it to her, and said, "Take this. If any robots charge at you later, feel free to fire at will." Lo Han took it, her eyes filled with suspicion, as she asked, "Only marksmen can use firearms, but this one has no restrictions." "Van Koi, what on earth is this?" As he watched the robots silently closing in, he explained in a calm yet sharp voice, "This is an electronic pulse gun. It's the type commonly found on robot farms. The robots here have basic AI and large bodies, so once they lose control, they're difficult to contain with human strength alone. That's why farms usually keep tools like this on hand for emergencies." He paused for a moment before continuing, "Don't underestimate this gun just because it's small. A single shot is enough to paralyze the functions of the largest robot here, but it's a major energy hog and has no effect on humans, so use it carefully." His detailed explanation made Lo Han look at him with admiration. "You're that incredible? I had no idea you knew about these things." Hearing her compliment, Van Koi smirked and boasted, "Well, back in the day, I used to be a top student at the Zhongdu Elite Academy. This theoretical mechanical knowledge is just the basics." He immediately tightened his grip on his sword, assuming a battle stance, and said gravely, "A tough fight is coming. Make sure you protect yourself." Behind him, Lo Han also took a stance, her eyes determined. Suddenly, another robot bee zipped past, causing Van Koi to narrow his eyes suspiciously. It landed on a robot's head, and then a cold, provocative voice rang out. "Kid, that toy gun in your hands can only fire once every 10 minutes at best. Do you really plan on using that to kill me?" Luo Han broke out in a cold sweat, recognizing it as the same voice from before. Yunqi tightened his grip on his sword, his eyes filled with suspicion. The robots began to transform, their bodies swelling and their faces twisting into horrifying masks, as if ready to level the entire city. The surrounding civilians panicked and scattered in all directions. The voice from the bee continued, full of sarcasm. What? You don't know? Did you really think this crappy game was created by the government to save us, to kill monsters and level up? They're using points to put a price on people's lives, and the only purpose is to let those damn players who popped out of nowhere enjoy a real-life show of this bloody spectacle of people killing each other. The bee suddenly swelled, transforming into a giant machine, its voice gloating. Now that I understand the organization's goal, this game has become much simpler. Yunqi's bright eyes suddenly turned ice cold. He muttered, "It's not just people killing monsters that can earn points, but also monsters killing people, and even people killing people can earn points to survive." The giant bee buzzed above the robots, letting out a maniacal laugh. "Just from a small village like this, you can earn several thousand points? Who would have thought of this method?" The lead robot's glowing red eyes stared intently at Yunqi, its presence overwhelming. Luohan covered her mouth in horror and exclaimed, "The entire village was. They're truly demons." Yunqi frowned, his sharp eyes glinting as he muttered, "It hasn't even been a full day, and they've already figured out how to kill people for points. What inhuman scum." He looked up at the giant robot in front of him, a full head taller than himself, and at first, he was hesitant, unsure if he should confront these killer machines. But now, he smirked provocatively, looking straight at it. "Even if you wiped out an entire village, you only got a few thousand points. You're just small fry, not even worth mentioning." Then he sneered, his voice full of confidence. "I'm number 3 on the points ranking board. I have at least 10,000 more points than you." Luohan was terrified, her voice trembling. "Yunqi, what are you doing? What if this homicidal maniac targets you?" He turned back, flashing a reckless grin. "This is exactly the effect I was going for." Pointing to his chest, he shouted a challenge. "Don't you want to kill me and see if you can steal my points?" From the mechanical bee, a cold voice rang out. "Says who?" "Third place is anonymous. What proof do you have that it's you?" Yunqi stepped closer, his gaze fixed on the bee. "I picked up a temporary 10 times points corn from a supply drop. I just casually racked up that many points." Without waiting for a response, he swung his sword, slicing the mechanical bee and the robot beside it in half. "Now check the leaderboard and see if third place gained 10 points, will you?" The system immediately displayed a notification. "Destroyed an object controlled by a boss-level creature. Received 10 points, multiplied by 10. Elsewhere, a grotesque man sat in front of a screen, his eyes gleaming as he saw the notification change. "So, that kid really is number 3? Nearly 20,000 points. I've hit the jackpot this time." He typed furiously on his keyboard, issuing a command, "All units, hear my order. Annihilate this intruder for me." Immediately, the eyes of all the robots on the scene flashed with a brilliant red light, and they replied in unison, "Order received." Yunqi frowned and turned to Luohan. "Go hide first." Luohan quickly ran to find cover, not forgetting to add, "Okay, you have to be careful." From every corner of the village, hordes of robots swarmed in to surround Yunqi. He nimbly dodged the attacks, his blue eyes flashing with a sharp light. "So, you want to use these robots to drain my stamina and steal my points? This mini-boss is truly cunning." He moved while swinging his sword, taking down 2 robots in the blink of an eye. "Bring it on." Another slash, and one more falls. "Come on." From her hiding spot, Luohan watched him fight, her eyes shining brightly as she silently cheered. "This is great." But suddenly, a robot snuck up behind him, raising its giant fist. A powerful punch landed squarely on Yunqi's back. A wave of pain spread through him, but he gritted his teeth, refusing to let out a groan. He fell face first to the ground. Dust and smoke billowed up as the sword slipped from his hand, clattering to the side. Luohan screamed, "Yunqi!" She realized something horrifying. His slashes hadn't completely destroyed the robot's energy cores. 2 robots were still active, standing right beside him and ready to deliver the finishing blow. From a distance, the mini-boss's smug voice echoed through the drone. "How dare a mere flesh and blood body dream of fighting against machines? I'll be taking your points." But just as the robot raised its hand to attack, as Yunqi lay unconscious, a bright light flashed. Luohan bit her lip tightly, her brow furrowed as she gripped the stun gun Yunqi had given her. A single shot hit the robot, causing it to collapse beside him. Sparks crackled across its body. The remaining robot turned towards her, its eyes glowing red. The system announced, "Item has 40% energy remaining." Luohan was startled. One shot used up 30% of its energy, but there was no time to think, as the large door next to her suddenly creaked open. A strange red light flashed, and a sense of danger washed over her. She turned around in confusion, and saw a pair of feet in flip-flops step out. The figure was holding a cleaver, their entire body emitting a demonic red glow as they roared. How annoying. I have to step in myself. The mini-boss grinned sinisterly, his voice full of smugness. I'm definitely going to make you suffer for this later. But first, I have to take that brat's life. Yun-Chi still lay motionless on the ground, his breathing faint. Lu Han's eyes filled with panic, shouting, "Don't you dare get near Yun-Chi, or I'll shoot." But the mini-boss just glanced at her, a cold and contemptuous smile on his face. That little gun of yours can't do anything to me. You should worry about yourself first, don't waste your energy on him. Suddenly, a robot leaped forward to attack Lu Han. Startled, she spun around, squeezed her eyes shut, and pulled the trigger. Brilliant blue sparks shot out as she screamed, "Stay away!" The powerful electric current coursed through the robot, causing it to collapse. The system's cold voice announced, "Warning, this item has only 10% energy remaining." A cold sweat broke out on Lu Han's brow as she looked at the gun in her hand, her heart in turmoil. Crap, it's out of charge. I have to get Yun-Chi out of here, but it was too late. The mini-boss closed in on Yun-Chi, laughing coldly, "Go to hell." Suddenly, Yun-Chi's eyes snapped open, startling the mini-boss. "You were faking it." He sprang to his feet, gripping his sword and throwing his sharp dagger. "Otherwise, did you really think those pieces of junk could actually stop me?" The gleaming blade hurtled straight towards the mini-boss, stopping only a few millimeters from his eye when a giant object flew out from inside the building, blocking the attack. Lu Han quickly dodged to the side, staring in shock at the scene before her. A giant robot, several times larger than the others, had appeared behind the mini-boss. Its two fingers effortlessly crushed the dagger as its shoulder transformed, revealing a gun barrel. A cold electronic voice rang out, "Enemy position detected, firing energy projectiles." From its two shoulders, a barrage of energy bullets shot out, aimed straight at Yun-Chi. He shouted in alarm, "This is bad." As he leaped to dodge, the projectiles slammed into the ground. A violent explosion erupted, but luckily he jumped back in time, got close to Lu Xun, and yelled, "The motorcycle is right behind us. Get on." The two of them quickly hopped onto the motorcycle, and Yun-Chi revved the engine, speeding away and leaving the deafening explosions behind them. Lu Xun held onto him tightly from behind and asked worriedly, "That was close. Yun-Chi, are you okay?" He turned his head and offered a faint smile. "I'm fine. That crafty old fox. If I hadn't intentionally left an opening, it wouldn't have been so easy to lure him out of the control room." His eyes darted toward the giant robot in pursuit. He just didn't expect the enemy to have such a super weapon. He almost died back there. The giant robot roared, smashing everything in its path as it gave chase. From the cockpit, the mini-boss let out a loud laugh. "You little punk, don't even think about escaping," he gloated. "My defense system is the best in the world, and you still dare to dream of ambushing me. Just wait till I catch you. I'll wring your neck and kick your head around like a ball." Yun-Chi gritted his teeth and gunned the engine, weaving through the narrow, smoke-filled streets. Behind him, Lu Xun held onto his waist for dear life, screaming, with her eyes squeezed shut. "That has to be a military superweapon. What's it doing at a farm like this?" He made a sharp turn into an alley, his voice low as he said, "We need to shake it off first." Lu Xun cracked her eyes open, worried. "This isn't good. If we get out of the village, it'll be even easier for it to lock onto us in the open." A sharp glint flashed in Yun-Chi's eyes. "We don't have to leave the village. I just need to find a certain spot." As they reached a wider road, he suddenly exclaimed, "There it is. I knew it." In the distance, the corpse of a mutated dog lay motionless on the ground. Without hesitation, Yun-Chi stretched out his hand and activated his undead resurrection skill. A stream of dark blue light shot from his hand into the corpse as he yelled, "Arise!" The dead dog sprang to its feet, transforming violently. Its fangs lengthened, horns sprouted from its head, and it let out a roar as it charged forward. The system announced, "Undead Hound has been summoned." The roar of the motorcycle engine echoed down the street as Yun-Chi shot forward like an arrow. Lu Xun clung to his waist, her heart pounding in her chest. Behind them, the massive figure of the undead hound, Da Hei, sped up to keep pace. Lu Xun glanced back, her eyes lighting up in realization. Yun-Chi wasn't just panicking and running away, he was deliberately searching for a corpse to use his skill on. Lu Xun bit her lip, her eyes glued to the giant red machine hurtling toward them from behind, her heart filled with doubt. Can a single dog like this really be enough to stop that massive monster? The machine thundered, its every step shaking the ground and sending rubble flying under its immense power. Inside the cockpit, the zombie pilot sneered mockingly. "Stop running, you little punk. Weren't you acting all high and mighty before? If you have any guts, stop running." Behind Yun-Chi, Lu Xun squeezed her eyes shut and screamed, "Yun-Chi, it's catching up." The motorcycle suddenly screeched to a halt, its tires screaming against the pavement. Terrified, Lu Xun clung to him for dear life. Da Hei also skidded to a stop, assuming a battle stance. At that moment, Yun-Chi's sharp voice rang out, "Da Hei, you're up." As soon as the words left his mouth, the beast roared and charged forward. A swirling torrent of water erupted from Dahei's stomach, forming a ferocious vortex that slammed directly into the monster machine. The zombie's eyes widened in shock, his hands tightening on the controls as he roared, "Damn it, my vision is completely obscured, and why does it stink so much like dog pee?" Inside the mech, the alarm system blared, warning. Filtration system has detected a large volume of highly corrosive liquid. The giant mech began to sway, losing control. The zombie furiously screamed, "You damn dog, get off me now." Seizing the opportunity while the mech was in disarray, Yun-Chi rushed forward. The sword in his hand flashed with a blue light like an electric current as he slashed sideways, sending sparks flying from the metal body. The zombie in the cockpit was stunned. "What?" Dahei leaped down to the mech's severed leg section, while the system continued its announcement. Due to detected damage to the knee joint, the cockpit has activated the Intelligent Emergency Heat Dissipation mode. The air circulation system's intake was forced to switch to the location of the damaged knee joint. The zombie roared frantically. "Damn it." Yun-Chi didn't miss the chance, ordering, "Dahei, continue your performance." The beast immediately obeyed, jumping off the broken leg and charging towards the mech, but it stopped abruptly midway, lifting one leg, and urinated directly into the engine. The system blared non-stop, alarming. Large amount of corrosive gas detected. Anti-asphyxiation program activated. Cockpit window will automatically open in 3 seconds. The zombie panicked and screamed, "No, don't open it. Wait, wait." He stood up, and the system immediately responded, "Command received," switching to rest mode. The giant mech collapsed to the ground, motionless. Yun-Chi smirked faintly. "At first, I thought I'd have to fight a life-or-death battle with this pile of scrap metal." He stood tall, his hand gripping the sword pointed at the ground. A cold blue light emanated from the blade in his sharp eyes as he stepped closer and closer to the zombie. His voice was low. "You've turned off its defense program, which makes things much easier for me now." His gaze was ice cold as he continued, "Unexpected, isn't it? The very smart system you were so proud of is the key factor that led to your ultimate failure." The zombie trembled and begged, "No, don't." A dazzling blue light erupted from the sword in Yun-Chi's hand, piercing through the giant mech's metal body. He put all his strength into a powerful downward slash, like a thunderbolt striking the battlefield. The system warned continuously. "Warning, core component has been damaged. Warning, mech is about to explode." The zombie screamed in despair, "My machine." Yun-Chi stood proudly on the wreckage of the mech. The game system updated immediately, defeated a powerful enemy, received 6,000 points. He turned around, his icy gaze fixed on the zombie writhing on the ground. The killing intent radiating from him made the enemy tremble, continuously begging, "No, don't kill me. Don't kill me. I don't want to die." But Yun-Chi ignored him, his voice as cold as ice, each word firm and resolute. "The people who originally lived here didn't want to die either, but you still killed them all." The 3 zombies panicked, stammering incoherently. Ah. Yun-Chi continued, his eyes unwavering. "Reason is a much more effective tool of persuasion than virtue. This is the truth." The sword in his hand flashed, piercing straight through the zombie's body. Blood splattered everywhere. The system announced, "Eliminated a powerful enemy, received 10 points, multiplied by 10. Total accumulated points, 40, 2,860. He sheathed his sword and sighed. "I was originally planning to keep a low profile, but I accidentally became the #1 big shot." The system's dry, robotic voice sounded again. "Congratulations on climbing to the top of the score leaderboard. You are currently ranked first." The leaderboard appeared. Yun-Chi 40, 2,860. Yuan-Jun 25,870. Fang Qian 24,980. The system encouraged, "Maintain this rank, and you will receive the unique NPC link title at the end of the startup phase. Please continue your efforts." Yun-Chi smirked, a triumphant smile on his face. This feeling was just too satisfying. Then, Lu Xin rushed over, shouting, "Oh my god, Yun-Chi, look at this. The world channel is in chaos." He glanced at the world channel, where messages were flooding in. "Wang Titong, look. That anonymous player in 3rd place just suddenly shot up by over 20,000 points, leaving both the speaker and General Fang in the dust. This is Chi Guo. I don't care who's #1, I just hope they can save Blue Star." Li Zhongke, how can the fate of humanity be entrusted to some anonymous person? I disagree. Lu Shen, there are only 15 hours left in the starting phase, and humanity's fate is still uncertain. Will a true savior really appear? Yun-Chi mused to himself. It wasn't just the world channel. The Doomsday Walkers group chat was also buzzing. A message popped up in the group. "Is the anonymous person who just took 1st place in our group." The atmosphere suddenly grew tense, everyone stunned by this news. Fang Qian spoke in a calm voice. "After the starting phase of this apocalypse game ends, we will all have to face unknown dangers. If you are in this group, I hope you can join me in protecting humanity and defending Blue Star. Your choice will greatly influence the fate of all humankind on Blue Star." Yun-Chi quietly observed everyone. Although everyone's identity was kept secret in this small group, he secretly guessed that number 1 and number 2 were definitely Yuan Jun and Fang Qian, the two most powerful figures in the alliance. They always used their real names on the leaderboard, perhaps to inspire confidence in humanity. As long as those two names existed, people still had hope. But now, an anonymous person like him had suddenly surpassed both of the alliance's symbols. No wonder Fang Qian was so anxious. A white-haired woman spoke up, her voice firm. "We are all saviors certified by Titan. Resisting the invaders and protecting Blue Star should be something we all agree on. I believe this is also the consensus of all humanity on Blue Star." "Yeah, right," Yun-Chi thought, glancing around. Another man chimed in, "Don't do this, we're all just ordinary people. Is it really necessary to bear the burden of saving the world? Everyone has their own destiny. I don't want to be some savior, it's just putting my own life on the line." Yun-Chi thought to himself, "So there are people who just want to bury their heads in the sand." Yuan Jun spoke up, his voice filled with determination. "Courage is humanity's anthem. As long as the group of 10 who hold the divine artifacts unite and form a mighty army, we won't just be able to counterattack the players, but we might even be able to conquer this apocalypse game for ourselves." He looked at the people before him and thought to himself, there are also those who use the title of savior while secretly plotting their own agenda. Without fully understanding the invaders' rules, hastily choosing a side is just asking for death. For now, I'll just let things play out. He returned to reality and turned to Lu Xin. "Lu Xin, stop looking at the world channel. Get ready, we're going to keep fighting." She looked bewildered. "Huh, we just barely escaped with our lives, aren't we going to rest a bit?" He replied decisively, "There's something more important to do than rest." Night fell, blanketing the entire area. Lu Xin exclaimed, her voice echoing, "Yun-Chi, you have to try this. It's all natural and it smells amazing." Yun-Chi leaned back contentedly, just then realizing this was their first meal since the game began. Lu Xin rubbed her stomach contentedly, feeling so full and satisfied. "I swear I'm never going on a diet again," she said, smiling brightly at him. "Thanks to you today, I earned quite a few points." At that moment, Lu Xin recalled what Yun-Chi had said during the battle. His voice was firm. "From now on, if you want to fight side by side with me, you need to be strong too. These are free points, it'd be a waste not to take them." Back then, she had shut her eyes tightly, swinging her sword repeatedly at the horde of zombies, and replied, trembling, I know, I'll try." The system immediately announced, "Killed one level 1 zombie monster, received 10 points. Then, the announcements continued, "Congratulations, you have entered the point rankings, currently at rank 856. Then she cheered, her eyes sparkling, "Awesome, I made it onto the point rankings." But then she looked at Yun-Chi shyly, thinking to herself, "Actually, he was always there protecting me. I must be the person who got on the rankings the easiest in the whole world." Lu Xin stood up and stretched. Her body ached after a day of running, covered in zombie blood and sweat. She mumbled, "Since I have some free time, I'll take a nice hot bath to relax." Well, Yun-Chi looked at her and gave a helpless smile. Being carefree has its perks. This kind of silly cheerfulness actually suits the apocalypse. But he thought to himself, she's so casually talking about bathing in front of a grown man like me. Shouldn't she be a little more on guard? Lu Xin blushed and smiled mischievously. "On guard against zombies or on guard against you? If it's you, I don't need to be on guard at all. I'd actually welcome it." She placed a hand on her chest, her eyes sparkling seductively. "The apocalypse is so dangerous. It's true that 2 people are safer than 1. So do you want to take a bath with me?" "Well," Yun-Chi flatly refused. "No need." Lu Xin teased with a laugh. "Come on, don't be shy." He petted Da-Hei beside him, a smirk on his lips. "Who's being shy? I'd just rather bathe with Da-Hei." He turned to the beast. "Da-Hei did a great job today. I'll give you a spa treatment later." Annoyed, Lu Xin glared at him, sullenly slamming the door shut. "Suit yourself." Yun-Chi sighed as he looked at the closed door, thinking to himself, "It's not like I'm a monk who shuns women, but at a critical time like this, I can't waste my stamina needlessly." He shook his head. Besides, Lu Xin was mostly just joking. He pictured her soaking in the bathtub, and his heart felt a little heavy. The apocalypse had struck, tragedy had occurred, and she was just forcing a smile to hide the pain of losing her parents. In the bathroom, Lu Xin soaked melancholically in the warm water. She thought to herself, "In less than a day, my life has been turned completely upside down. My parents are gone, I can't go back home, and the future is a complete blur." She pondered for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Thankfully, I still have Yun-Chi with me. If I can rely on him, and we can walk through this apocalypse together, that would be good enough." Recalling her time with him, she remembered something Yun-Chi had once said. The apocalyptic prophecy was 15 years ago. What's there to be scared of? Even elementary school students now probably don't take it seriously anymore. Back then, she had just forced a smile. Is that so? But then, the monsters appeared. He rushed forward to save her, shielding her from the front, and yelled, "Get back." Lucian thought back, a hint of sadness in her eyes. He's always so cold. Does he really not have any feelings for me at all? Her face flushed as she told herself, with a figure like this, there's no way a guy wouldn't like it, right? Maybe I should pretend my towel is slipping later and see how he reacts. 10 minutes later, steam billowed out from the bathroom. A refreshed Lucian stepped out, calling out loudly, "Yun-Chi, I'm done with my bath." But her words caught in her throat, and she stared silently at Yun-Chi. Was hugging Da-Hei, curled up and sleeping soundly on the sofa. She angrily muttered, "You stinking straight guy, what a complete waste of my good looks. Go live with your dog then." The gloomy night gradually enveloped the house, and a faint ray of light shone on Luo Shin's face, causing her to wake with a start. She groggily sat up and walked out with a smile. "Yun-Chi, why are you up so early? It's only 5 o'clock." He was packing his things and replied, "You're awake? Perfect timing, come give me a hand." She was surprised. "Huh, what are you packing for?" Yun-Chi tightened the strap of his bag, his voice firm. "Get ready, we're heading to the central capital." Luo Shin retorted in shock, "What, Yun-Chi, aren't we staying at the farm? We have so many supplies stockpiled here, plus, it's dangerous outside, and who knows if the central capital is even safe." He held up 3 fingers, his gaze sharp. "I've already considered everything you're worried about, and I chose to go to the central capital for 3 reasons. Yun-Chi calmly explained, his voice steady. "First, although the farm is temporarily safe, the supplies here will only last us for 1 week. Second," he continued his analysis, making Luo Shin tense up, "the game officially starts in 6 hours. When the players descend, it will surely bring about a more brutal wave of slaughter, and moving our base then will be even more dangerous." He raised his hand, his eyes cold and sharp. "Third, my home is in the central capital, and dead or alive, I have to go there to confirm my family's safety." He recalled silently, his heart heavy. He still hadn't been able to contact his older sister and had no idea what the situation at home was like. Where did she get this gear, and why did she give it to me? He was determined to find out. Luo Shin covered her mouth in shock. "Your home is in the central capital? Don't tell me you're some young master out experiencing life. In that case, if I go back with you, will your childhood fiancé get jealous and try to harm me?" She trembled, her voice filled with panic. Yun-Chi looked at her with exasperation and shook his head. This girl's imagination was running way too wild. In just a few minutes, she had already cooked up a 100-episode melodramatic soap opera in her head, but he silently admitted she was partly right. He did indeed have a fiancé, but there were no feelings involved. He cut her off coldly. "Stop letting your imagination run wild. Since you're awake, hurry up and help. The sooner we leave, the better." Luo Shin nodded and immediately got to work. After everything was packed and ready, the two of them stood in front of a truck under a clear sky. Yun-Chi let out a sigh of relief. "We're finally almost ready." They both looked at their handiwork, feeling excited. Da-Hei also barked loudly, as if sharing their joy. He did a final check. They had enough water and dry rations, spare fuel, and camping sleeping bags. He glanced at the hover car and muttered, "This thing has high mobility and is flexible. It might be useful, so let's take it with us." With everything ready, Yun-Chi and Luo Shin got into the driver's seat. "Let's move out," he shouted. He glanced at his phone, his voice urgent. "Only 61 minutes left. We have to get going." Suddenly, a system screen popped up. "Congratulations to all NPCs who have survived until now. To make the game more interesting, new rules will now be added." Luo Shin was startled. "Is that the system? What is it planning to do now?" Yun-Chi clenched his fists as beads of sweat formed. "I have a bad feeling about this." The system continued its announcement. "In 60 minutes, the startup phase will end, and faction selection will begin. You can choose to join the player faction or the opposing human faction." Yun-Chi exclaimed, "We can freely choose our faction?" The system didn't stop there. At most, only 1/10 of humanity will be allowed to become allies of the player faction. If the number of registrations exceeds the limit, selection will be based on the point rankings, prioritizing those with higher scores. Those who wish to join the player faction should use this final time to increase their scores. A friendly reminder, not only do you get points for killing monsters and collecting 10 supplies, but killing NPCs also grants 50% of the target's current score. Yun-Chi looked at the announcement in frustration, his voice deepening. "Damn it! Killing NPCs counts for points too? This rule is basically forcing the people of Blue Star to slaughter each other." He analyzed, his eyes turning cold. In the blink of an eye, trust and order among people will collapse. There will surely be those who, in order to join the player faction, will turn on their own comrades. He glanced at Luo Shin, his tone serious. "Luo Shin, You heard that, right? Luo Xin was frozen solid, a strange glint in her eyes. Suddenly, she found herself standing in a dark, mysterious space. "Where is this?" she shouted in panic. Yunqi! Yunqi! Where are you?" A deep, resonant voice echoed in the darkness. "You have finally arrived." A large hand gently touched her head, startling Luo Xin. The mysterious woman smiled. "I am the incarnation of light, the most mysterious existence in this apocalypse game," she explained, her voice gentle. "You possess the purest power of light within your body, which is why I answered your summons and came." Luo Xin was bewildered, her heart pounding. "The power of light? The temple of light?" she murmured, looking at the mysterious woman, the incarnation of light, who had her hands clasped before her. Brilliant streams of light surrounded her, making Luo Xin feel tense. The woman spread her arms, her voice echoing, "Join the player faction, join the Temple of Light. Only then can you become the Queen of Light, leading the light against the darkness." Luo Xin lowered her head and whispered, "Lead the light against the darkness. Does that mean I can save Blue Star? With my abilities, can I really do it?" She hesitated, her heart in turmoil. "But if I join the player faction, wouldn't I be betraying Blue Star?" The incarnation of light replied, her voice calm yet powerful. "Where there is light, there will be darkness. Sowing the seeds of light in the world, that is the responsibility of the Queen of Light. Are you willing, for the sake of those you care about, to bear this responsibility?" "Yes." Before Luo Xin could answer, she suddenly snapped back to reality. Yun Qi, beside her, called out worriedly, "Luo Xin, are you okay? Can you hear me?" She turned, a hint of confusion still in her eyes, and replied, "It's nothing. I just zoned out for a moment." But in her mind, the words of the incarnation of light still echoed. "Once my existence is discovered by anyone else, your path to becoming the queen will be destroyed by the game. Remember, join the Temple of Light. Your choice affects the survival of Blue Star." She suddenly remembered and said hastily, "Oh right, the system just said we can join the player faction." Yun Qi abruptly slammed on the brakes, the car screeching to a halt in the middle of the road. He turned to her, his voice serious. "Luo Xin, do you want to join the player faction?" She immediately retorted, her voice filled with indignation. "How could I? They destroyed my family. They killed my parents. Even if I die, I would never surrender to the enemy. Never." But in her heart, she recalled that mysterious figure. That woman didn't seem human, but more like a goddess. Were her words true or false? She turned and asked Yun Qi, "Have you considered joining the player faction?" She thought to herself, "If it were you, what would you choose?" He pondered for a moment, then said bluntly, "No, never." Luo Xin tried to reason, "But by switching to the player faction, maybe we could find protection in this apocalyptic world? No one knows what we'll face, or if we'll survive among countless monsters." Yun Qi smirked, a faint smile on his lips. "Who knows? Humans always like to romanticize the paths they've never taken." His voice echoed in the sun-drenched space. "Staying on the side of humanity might be a bad choice. After all, in the eyes of the players, we're no different from monsters." Lu Xin stared at him, stunned. Yun Qi's gaze was fixed straight ahead, resolute. "But no matter what, once I've chosen to oppose the players, I won't regret it and will see it through to the end." She couldn't believe it, and asked again, "Even if you know the enemy is unbeatable and the only outcome is a path to death?" He replied in a low voice, "There are always people in this world who, despite knowing it's impossible, still charge forward without hesitation. Isn't that right?" "Yes." Lu Xin pressed her lips together, her heart in turmoil. He continued, "That's right, someone has to walk this path, and once you've chosen it, you shouldn't have regrets." She frowned and thought, with Yun Qi's strength, if she weren't holding him back, he would surely shine much brighter on the side of humanity. As for her, if she had a chance to save Blue Star, she wanted to try, no matter how difficult it was. She murmured, "Yun Qi, I've decided to join the players' faction." He, Yun Qi, sighed, his voice contemplative. If there were another, more peaceful path, who would willingly live such a precarious life? It was only natural for Lu Xin to make such a choice. He stopped the car and got out, reminding her to take enough water and dry rations. But this vehicle still had enough power to take her back to the farm to wait for the players to appear. Lu Xin looked at him blankly, her eyes welling with tears. "Yun Qi," he handed her the helmet, smiling faintly. "All right, don't act like this is a life or death parting. It's not like we'll never see each other again. Okay." Yun Qi gently placed the helmet on Lu Xin's head, a hint of reluctance in his eyes. "Who knows? Maybe one day, I'll become the final boss of this world, and then it'll be your turn, a holy light mage, leading a band of heroes to destroy me." Lu Xin suddenly rushed forward and hugged him tightly, leaving him stunned as her eyes filled with tears. "Even though I've chosen a different path, Yun Qi, you have to remember, I will never be your enemy." He smiled and patted her head, his voice teasing, "You're almost 30 years old and you're still making promises like a little kid. Isn't that a bit childish?" But in his heart, he thought. Lucian is a kind person. She would never intentionally harm me. But as the saying goes, people on different paths can't walk together. He urged her, "Go now. If you delay any longer, the players will be arriving." He watched her car disappear into the distance, murmuring, "I guess in the end, it's still you by my side." The great black undead hound barked loudly, as if in response. He looked up. Next, all we have to do is wait for the game to start. A notification panel appeared. 0 hours, 39 minutes, and 27 seconds. Lu Xun kept speeding forward. The countdown continued. 0 hours, 23 minutes, and 19 seconds. 0 hours, 21 minutes, and 50 seconds. 0 hours, 17 minutes, and 36 seconds. 0 hours, 12 minutes, and 58 seconds. 3. Yunqi stared tensely at the screen. 0 hours, 7 minutes, and 59 seconds. 0 hours, 4 minutes, and 8 seconds. 6. 0 hours, 2 minutes, and 31 seconds. A system announcement declared, 0 hour. The apocalypse game officially begins. Players are now entering. Yunqi's car sped down the road. He activated the auto-drive mode, muttering, "So many new rules, huh?" No wonder Yanzu said it was hard to analyze the data since the game hadn't officially started. 2. A continuous system announcement stated, "Warm-up period has ended. All NPCs will be classified and tiered based on their current scores." He read carefully. NPCs in the top 1% of the rankings will have their scores receive a leader class suffix, with their level adjusted to the average of the top 10% of players, plus an additional 2 levels, and the top 5% receive a rare grade suffix. Levels are based on the average of players outside the top 30%, plus an additional 1 level, and the remaining NPCs receive a common elite or novice village grade suffix depending on their score. Yes, Yunqi calculated silently. His score should be enough to receive the leader grade, but he wondered if there was a way to level up proactively. The system continued. In the game, only players can gain experience and level up by killing monsters, but NPCs do not have this function. He frowned. NPCs don't have experience points, so their level is entirely dependent on the suffix, only increasing when the player's overall level increases, truly just tools. A screen appeared. After the ranking classification ended, scores were automatically converted into apocalypse currency at a 10-to-1 ratio. Yunqi sighed in relief and checked his personal attributes. Congratulations on receiving the leader grade NPC suffix. All attributes increased by 25%. Level automatically adjusts to the average of the top 10% of players, plus an additional 2 levels. The information appeared. Yunqi, leader, grade NPC, 6 peerless titles, level 12 Death Knight, strength 52, agility 67, spirit 54, constitution 54. Personal talent, planar Death Knower. The 10 times point accumulation effect has been cancelled, with no specific value assigned yet. Specialization, Death Blight, level 1, unique skill. Resurrection of the Dead, he muttered in frustration. The highest suffix is leader grade, and the new players are just level 1 newbies, while I'm already a level 12 boss. Wouldn't taking them down be a piece of cake? The screen continued. The world map has been unlocked. The first wave has planned 35,600 novice village maps. Players can only leave the village after reaching level 10, and all NPCs and monsters not belonging to the novice village grade will be forcibly de-leveled if they enter a village. He pondered, it's a shame the players are still in the novice villages, when a new notification suddenly sounded. The Origin Energy system has been activated. All classes can now use supernatural level skills through the control of Origin Energy. Yunqi was bewildered. Origin Energy? A new energy in the game? The screen displayed more information. Customizable Origin Energy armor has been activated. All players and NPCs can now summon their own set of battle armor. He frowned and muttered, Origin Energy armor. Looks like this game is getting more and more complicated. He tapped the control panel to check the detailed information. He told himself he had to understand it clearly. Otherwise, even with a leader grade, he feared it would be difficult to survive in this world. Yunqi calmly analyzed the new rules, his voice low. The defense and durability of the battle armor are proportional to an individual's constitution, but when unequipped, the body's strength is only 20%, and all non-Origin energy creations have their power reduced from ranged weapons to combat machinery. He frowned. This rule clearly weakens existing resources, forcing the humans on Blue Star to depend on Origin energy. The players definitely understand Origin energy better than we do. They will quickly gain the upper hand. The screen flickered, and messages on the world channel began to flood in. Wang Zikong, holy crap, this world is insane. The Human Alliance is totally screwed. Lu Shen, I saw it too. We can only respect their personal choice. Lao Fu, respect my ass. This is a betrayal of all humanity on Blue Star. I'm the first to publicly oppose it. Yunqi frowned and muttered, why are there suddenly so many messages? Who betrayed Blue Star? He continued to read intently. Chi Guo. That's right, while we common people are fighting back, the leader of Blue Star, Alliance head Yuan Jun, has chosen to side with the players and is even leading people to confront the god of war, Fang Qian, right in the central capital. The two guild alliances would have to explain this. Yunqi was stunned, exclaiming, "What? Those two big shots are really fighting in the central capital?" He tapped repeatedly on the screen, his mind in turmoil. Yuan Jun's move would surely throw the central capital into even greater chaos. Instead of paying attention to the arguments on the World Channel, it was better to check the update details and see what cards he still had to play. A new notification popped up on the screen, congratulating the anonymous NPC for topping the scoreboard and earning the unique title, Peerless Level 1. The owner of this title receives a 25% boost to all stats, unlocks all standard interactions with NPCs, and gains access to the Divine Armament Treasury. Every 2 days, they can issue one Peerless grade quest, and players who complete it will receive an additional 25% experience and Apocalypse currency. Note, the title's grade increases every 10 levels, granting an additional 25% stat boost. The maximum level is 91. Yunqi smirked smugly. There was only one such title in the entire game. With it, even if he were at the same leader level as someone else, he would still be superior thanks to the 25% stat boost. He looked at his hands excitedly. The Netherknight class was already strong in the three main stats. Every time he leveled up, his stats would see a massive increase. No wonder everyone wanted to be the top player on the leaderboard. The feeling of possessing overwhelming power was incredible, but he suddenly wondered what the Divine Armament Treasury was. All of a sudden, the car jerked to a stop. The system announced that the autopilot had detected an obstacle. Yunqi stared blankly at the scene before him. A group of people was blocking the road, led by a guy with a club who pointed it right at him. "Kid, get out of the car." Yunqi stepped out, silently observing that they were wearing custom Origin Energy battle armor. They looked pretty cool. He thought to himself, it would be a waste not to use this system perk. The system announced, first-time battle armor creation will lock its appearance. Modeling, complete, equipped. The form-fitting armor shimmered with a metallic sheen around his body. He eyed the group in front of him as the thugs sneered. Wearing armor that heavy, this kid probably can't even run. Boss, is there something wrong with his head? Who cares? Grab the car and we'll feed him to the zombies. Yunqi spoke calmly, blocking the road to rob and murder. Aren't you afraid of punishment? The guy in the helmet laughed sinisterly, dragging his club along the ground. Punishment? You're a real idiot. The two guild leaders have already fled, so who's going to punish us? He swung the club toward him. Right now, the one with the bigger fist makes the rules. The man with the club laughed gleefully, his voice dripping with arrogance. The weak are destined to be trampled under the feet of the strong. But as soon as he finished speaking, a powerful punch from Yunqi slammed right into him, sending him flying backward to crash hard on the ground. His panicked underling screamed, "Boss, you brat, you dare to fight back." Yunqi glanced at them contemptuously, his voice cold. Weren't you the ones who said it? The weak get eaten and the strong become king. The strong are the ones who deliver the punishment. The system announced, standard unit eliminated. LV-8 received one Divine Armament Treasury tech point. Yunqi frowned, wondering, what are these tech points for? He studied the Divine Armament Treasury screen intently. Exclusive treasury for the owner of the Peerless Level 1 title. One talent tree, weapon durability upgraded to purple grade, and can be resized at the nano level. Unlock requirement, 1 out of 30 tech points. He analyzed that, compared to the stat boosts or NPC privileges, the Divine Armament Treasury was the greatest benefit of the Peerless title, but it needed tech points to be unlocked. He thought to himself, this planar death perception talent is so powerful, I should use it to boost my tech points first. He activated the skill and the system announced, adjustment successful. Tech points gained from the Divine Armament Treasury are now multiplied by 10. The underlings roared and charged forward. Get him, kill this brat and avenge the boss. Yunqi gave a faint smile. It would be a waste not to take the free tech points. Dahei roared, lunging into the crowd to bite and tear, sending them into a panic. A blonde-haired man exclaimed in shock, "Damn it, it even tore through the battle armor. You're just a dog. How are you so strong?" Yunqi's lips curled in praise. Good job, Dahei. He calculated internally. A resurrected undead is the same level as its master, plus a 5% boost to all attributes. Dahei was a level 12 elite warhound, strong enough to dominate an entire region if let loose in the wild. Another man panicked and tried to flee. Yunqi placed his sword against the man's neck, his voice cold. Why the rush to leave? Stay and play for a while. The man's scream echoed to the heavens. The system announced, eliminated 3 regular level 7 units, received 30 tech points, and a 10 times divine weapon treasure. Yunqi smiled excitedly. A zero-cost harvest, I almost have enough to unlock the treasure now. Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice spoke up. You're pretty strong for an NPC. Yunchi was startled and turned around to see a white-haired girl sitting comfortably on his car. She wore a mischievous smile. He was wary. Who are you? Thinking to himself that she had appeared so silently that even he and Dahe hadn't noticed. The girl jumped down and waved. Don't worry, I'm Jiang Xiaoduo, 19 years old, a player. She smiled. You must be Yunchi, right? She held out a strange object. Someone in the player faction issued a quest, telling me to bring this to you. But just then, Jiang Xiaoduo suddenly attacked, a flash of light erupting in front of him. Yunchi was shocked. Guessing the light was a player's skill, he immediately swung his sword and charged. Jiang Xiaoduo froze for a moment, then blocked the blow with her two blades. What are you doing? Attacking someone out of nowhere? Are all NPCs this violent now? Dahe roared and lunged forward, but she decisively kicked it away, and the beast whimpered in pain. Yunchi tensed up, his gaze sharp. She's too fast. I'm already level 12 and put all my points into agility for a total of 67 points, yet I still can't keep up. He tightened his grip on his sword, ready for battle, thinking to himself, this player is no simpleton. I have to be careful. Yunchi frowned, his sharp gaze fixed on Jiang Xiaoduo, and yet she still blocked my attack and even dodged Dahe. Looks like I have to get serious. Jiang Xiaoduo approached, exclaiming in alarm, Wait, if we're going to fight, you have to give me a reason first. Why did you suddenly attack me? He looked at her, his voice full of doubt. Weren't you the one who attacked first? Your whole body was just glowing. You were clearly about to use a skill to ambush me. Jiang Xiaoduo retorted in confusion. What ambush? Are you paranoid? That light was just me getting experience points for completing a quest. She shouted angrily. Someone in the player faction sent a whole bunch of supplies and told me to bring them to you. If I wanted to ambush you, why would I bring you all this stuff? Yunchi glanced at the crate she was carrying and did a quick check. It really is all medicine and food. He thought, a quest from the player faction, and they know my exact location. Could it be Lu Xin? It seems she's doing fine. At least I don't have to worry about her life being in danger anymore. He turned to ask, what's this about a quest being issued? Jiang Xiaoduo was surprised. You don't know? It's a special skill for you NPCs. The higher an NPC's rank, the more experience their quests give. She winked excitedly. The person who sent me with the supplies also gave a second quest, requiring this young lady to escort you safely to the city. Completing it gives a whopping 20,000 RMB, so I'll definitely protect you well. Yunchi decisively turned his back. That won't be necessary. Dahe, let's go. Jiang Xiaoduo was stunned. You're not taking me with you? I'm really strong, you know. I can take down a small monster with a single slash. He replied coldly. Sorry, I'm an NPC. Having no interest in teaming up with players, he started the car and sped off, leaving Jiang Xiaoduo shouting behind him. Hey, if you don't take me with you, how am I supposed to do the mission? He looked in the rearview mirror, saw her still chasing him, and thought to himself that this girl was really strong, just like a player. To her, I'm just a high-level mob. Keeping such a dangerous element around, I might get stabbed in the back. Besides, with her here, I can't peacefully explore the Divine Weapons treasury. A screen appeared, asking if he wanted to unlock the first tier of the Divine Weapon talent tree. He immediately pressed yes. He had enough tech points to see what goodies this treasury held. The system announced that the talent tree was activated, consuming 30 tech points. All weapons' durability was upgraded to SSS rank, and they could be resized at a nano level. The sword beside him suddenly flashed with a brilliant light. He picked it up excitedly. Awesome. With the highest durability rank, I don't have to worry about it breaking anymore, but this is a bit too flashy. Good thing Jiang Xiaoduo didn't see it. He was startled and looked in the rearview mirror again, where Jiang Xiaoduo was still chasing him on a rickety bicycle. She shouted loudly, For today's apocalypse currency, this lady will stick with you to the end. Hey Yunchi, don't even think about escaping. He couldn't believe it. How could she keep up on just a bicycle? He turned away in frustration, deciding to just pretend she didn't exist as she continued to yell from behind. Hey, Yunchi, are you listening to me? Suddenly, the system pinned a notification. Li Ting is live streaming the arrival of players in the Novice Village, currently at 103,579,000 views. Click the link to enter the live stream room. Yunchi frowned. What kind of live stream is this? Why does it have so many views? He clicked the link, and a chaotic scene appeared. People were running around in a panic, and a man screamed, Run! They're here! Yunchi broke out in a cold sweat, his eyes glued to the live stream screen. He wondered to himself, are they the ruthless players? The chaotic scene unfolded as an explosion from a building shook everything. Dust and smoke filled the air as a group of players carrying weapons chased after the weaker people who were fleeing. A terrified scream rang out. Run! A man was cornered in a dead end, raising his hands to beg the leader. I really can't run anymore. I'm begging you. Please don't kill me. But the leader's eyes were cold and showed no mercy. He swung his blade straight into the man's chest, begging my ass, "You monsters were born to be my kills." The victim screamed in agony, "Ah," before collapsing. Suddenly, a guy with a buzz cut took advantage of the opening and backstabbed the leader from behind. He gritted his teeth and roared, "Go to hell." The leader didn't have time to react and screamed, then fell, his body dissolving into a stream of data. The buzz-cut guy breathed a sigh of relief, both panicked and overjoyed. "I did it, I killed that demon." But at that very moment, a beam of light pierced through his chest. Blood splattered everywhere as he dropped his sword in shock. It was a cool-looking girl, holding a gun. She smiled smugly. "When we die, we just revive at the respawn point and lose a little experience. Unlike you guys, who are one-time consumables." She put her hands on her hips and glanced at her chaotic comrades. "Hey, are you big shots even trying? You've been killing for half a day and still haven't gotten as many kills as I have." Another girl replied with a scornful tone. "Who told you to be a marksman with high agility, faster than all of us?" The guy running in front shouted, "Next time, I won't go easy on you." The ruthless players continued their slaughter. They fought while screaming, "Kill!" A victim who was slashed in the head sobbed, "We just want to live." But these demons treat killing like a game, as a woman clutched her child, sobbing uncontrollably in front of the screen. "Where is the law enforcement? Where is the army? Who will save us?" She condemned them through her sobs, "We just want to live. Why are these demons so cruel to us?" Yes, Yunqi gritted his teeth, his heart aching as he witnessed the scene. In the live stream, the girl's voice echoed with despair. "Is there any justice left? Is there any fairness in this world? We're human beings, not NPCs. I just want my old life back." Suddenly, the brutal perpetrator's voice cut in. "Hey, look, there are 2 rats left." The girl screamed in agony, "Ah, help me." The leader, now revived, appeared on the screen. He grabbed the girl by her hair, looking up at the world channel with an arrogant tone. "What's this? You monsters have your own world channel?" The girl clutched her child, sobbing. He smirked, his gaze sharp. "Listen up, my name is Huang Tianhao, leader of the Sunset Squad, currently in Novice Village number 2689. He tossed the girl aside and declared, "To any of you monsters watching this video, remember this face." Then he swung his blade down hard on the girl's head, laughing loudly, "If you ever see me, you better turn tail and run." The girl, her head bleeding, crawled toward her screaming child despite the pain. "Wah!" She cried out, begging, "My child, I beg you, please spare him." But she was too slow, she couldn't reach him. The leader stepped forward, his eyes filled with the malice of a demon in human skin. He mercilessly swung his blade at the child, who screamed in agony, "Wah!" before collapsing into a pool of blood. Tears streamed down the mother's face as she watched helplessly, her child lying in a pool of blood, sobbing uncontrollably. The system coldly announced, "Due to the complete termination of the broadcaster, the live stream will be disconnected in 10 seconds. The leader, Huang Tianhao, showed no remorse, grinning sinisterly, "Oh, what a pity." The chaotic scene continued. The brutal players hunted down and killed the innocent people, their screams echoing endlessly. "Kill them, spare, not a single monster. Spare us, ah. Leave the kid to me, I love watching them cry. Hey, this monster's got a decent body, huh? You've got an eye for that? You must be really desperate. Let's just kill them to level up first." On another road, 2 vehicles were driving side by side. Jiang Xiao Duo panted on her motorcycle, turning to Yunqi. "Hey kid, you stopped all of a sudden, having regrets, now, are you? You want this lady to protect you, is that it?" Yunqi's face darkened as he remained silent, his eyes glued to the live stream. Xiao Duo heard the screams coming from it and grew curious. "Are those guys the Sunset Squad? Are they really into this sick killing game?" She frowned, her tone skeptical. "But this has nothing to do with me." Suddenly, she noticed the killing intent radiating from Yunqi. His eyes were ice cold and filled with utter rage. Xiao Duo was startled. "Hey, what's with you?" Guessing his intention, she quickly advised, "I'm telling you, don't go sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. The Sunset Squad is vicious, especially Huang Tianhao. He relies on his father's power and doesn't hold back against anyone. You're just an NPC, you haven't even unlocked the world map, so how could you possibly find them, let alone face off against those players?" Yunqi's expression remained unchanged, his voice low. "Hey, I need a small favor from you." Xiao Duo crossed her arms, refusing. "Are you kidding? I'm a player. Why would I help an NPC? This lady doesn't play the hero. I only do quests." But right at that moment, a system notification popped up. "NPC Yunqi has sent a peerless grade quest request, share world map. Reward, 100% of current level experience and your current level multiplied by 1 million Japanese yen. Do you accept?" Xiao Duo was stunned and exclaimed, "A peerless grade quest." She excitedly thought to herself, a large-scale quest for level 90 and above, and all I have to do is share a map. Only a fool would pass this up. She nodded and accepted. Of course, I accept. She opened her map to find the location of Novice Village number 2689. The system announced, "Congratulations, player, for completing the Peerless Grade quest. Your level has increased to 11. Receive 1,100 Doomsday coins. Affinity with NPC Yunqi increased by 100. Current relationship, indifferent." Xiao Duo felt her body grow stronger and was overjoyed. I leveled up and even got 1,100 Doomsday coins, while the quests in the Novice Village only give a few points, not even a fraction of this. She touched her chin and looked at Yunqi, scheming to herself, "I have to stick close to this rich guy and squeeze a few more quests out of him." Yunqi shifted the gear and turned the steering wheel, saying in a cold voice, "Thanks, I found the place I wanted to go." He glanced at her. "From now on, you don't need to follow me." Xiao Duo panicked. "What? You're not taking me with you?" Jiang Xiao Duo stared intently at the map, mumbling, "Use me and then toss me aside. Are you some kind of scumbag?" She lamented, "Do you have to be in such a hurry? It's not like you can reach Zhongdu in a day or two." As she tracked Yunqi's route, she also kept an eye on a red dot on the map of Novice Village 2689. Suddenly, she grew suspicious. This route, isn't the next Novice Village the place where Huang Tianhao and the Twilight Squad are running rampant? Breaking out in a cold sweat, she thought in horror. It can't be. But recalling Yunqi's sharp, cold gaze, she inwardly confirmed, he's really planning to confront the Twilight Squad head-on. The scene changes, and after 4 hours of driving, Yunqi stops in front of Novice Village 2689. The ground was cracked, and the air was thick with the stench of blood. He got out of the car, with Da He swaggering lazily behind him. He muttered, "We're finally here. I wonder if Huang Tianhao is still here, or if he's already left the Novice Village." Suddenly, he saw Jiang Xiao Duo riding up on a bicycle, stopping right in front of him. Yunqi said with annoyance, "Jiang Xiao Duo, why did you follow me?" She winked with a self-righteous expression. "Do you even have to ask?" "Obviously, to stop you from doing something stupid." She stored the bicycle in her inventory and walked over, saying in a serious tone, "You might be strong, but inside a Novice Village, both NPCs and players have their levels suppressed. Even Da He is no exception. If you don't believe me, check your attribute panel." The attribute panel appeared: NPC Yunqi, Leader Class. Title: Peerless. Class: Nether Knight. Level: 9, decreased from 12. Strength: 39, Agility: 50, Spirit: 40, Constitution: 40. Compatibility: 10%. Personal talent: Planar Death Knower, 10 times point accumulation effect has been cancelled. Tech points: Divine Armament Treasury times 10. Specialization: Death Blight Level 1. Skill: Undead Resurrection. Yunqi frowned, thinking to himself, "She's right, my level and attributes have been significantly reduced here." He glanced over at Da He. He saw its attribute panel also appear. Undead Hound, Level 9, decreased from 12. The beast stuck its tongue out, looking no different from an ordinary house dog. Still worried, Xiao Duo turned to Da He. "You're weak now, so stay here and guard our stuff. We'll be back as soon as we're done." Da He looked confused but obeyed. Watching Yunqi walk away, Xiao Duo saw he was still determined to find Huang Tianhao and shouted angrily, "Hey, didn't you hear me? Going now is just asking for a death wish." But the system suddenly displayed a notification. NPC Yunqi has issued a leader grade quest request. Protect the Undead Hound, Da He. Reward: 75% of your current level's experience. Your current level times 75 Doomsday coins. Do you accept? "I." Xiao Duo was stunned. "Another quest?" She hesitated, then grumbled, "Using a quest to tie me down. How despicable." But her eyes were sparkling with greed. A boss-level quest. It'd be a shame not to accept such a good reward. She yelled after Yunqi, "I really don't understand you. Even if you have the ability to kill the Sunset team, what's the point? They'll just respawn a few times, but an NPC like you could die for real if you're not careful. What's the meaning of this?" Yunqi stopped in his tracks, his gaze sharp and cold. "Meaning? People like Huang Tianhao treat killing as a game, massacring their own kind without a second thought. If no one stands up to stop them, Blue Star will become nothing but a living hell." He tightened his grip on his sword, his voice low. "I don't care how many times they respawn, as long as I'm still standing, I will make them pay the price." Yunqi paused, his eyes resolute, and replied to Xiao Duo in a low voice. "There are some things that players like you will never understand." Behind him, corpses lay cold on the ground, their blood staining the earth red. He gazed into the distance at the ruined buildings, his heart heavy. If it weren't for the piles of dead bodies and the thick stench of blood, one might think the apocalypse had never happened. He muttered, "Just a few hours ago, that group was massacring this place." He frowned. his heart boiling with rage. How many players were in that video? Where are they all now? Could I be too late? Suddenly, his pupils contracted and his eyes flashed. Found them. Scene change. Ahead, 3 vicious thugs were torturing someone. Noticing Yun-Chi's shadow at their feet, they shifted their attention to him. The one with the top knot grinned. Oh, I didn't expect to run into a level 9 boss-level monster. With an aura like this, and this gear, he's completely different from those cowards who only know how to run. The short-haired girl nearby looked at Yun-Chi, her eyes sparkling. He's pretty handsome too. I can't believe the newbie village has such a hot NPC. Yun-Chi walked forward nonchalantly, his voice cold. Hey, I'm looking for Huang Tianhao. Do you know where he is? The thugs burst into contemptuous laughter, and the man with the top knot looked surprised. Is this NPC stupid? Starting a conversation with us on his own. The bald guy sneered. He's even asking for Brother Huang. They chattered excitedly. Boss, didn't Brother Huang already show his face on the Monster World channel? This NPC came to serve his head on a platter. We don't even need Brother Huang to take care of you. The short-haired girl sighed with her hands in her pockets. What a pity, boss. You guys are all level 8, and I'm the only one still at level 7. The bald guy laughed loudly. The system announced the charge skill, movement speed increased by 200%, next attack power increased by 20%. He said confidently, then I'll take the final blow on this boss monster. He rushed forward, raising his hand to activate the bloodlust skill. His burst strength increased by 45 points. He thought Yun-Chi was done for, but he suddenly leaped into the air, causing the bald guy's punch to slam straight into the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust with the force of an exploding grenade. Yun-Chi looked down, mentally assessing that the man's burst strength even surpassed his own. If I had taken that head-on, my armor might have shattered. The bald guy was stunned, gritting his teeth at being dodged. Before he could react, Yun-Chi landed a kick right in his face. The force was immense. The bald guy spat blood as his head slammed into a wall, letting out a grunt, ugh. Yun-Chi stepped back, preparing his next move. His voice was cold. Unlike you, I put all my points into agility. Seeing his boss in danger, the guy with the top knot quickly raised his shield to block, but in that instant, Yun-Chi's sword flashed, piercing right through the shield, through the armor, and straight into his chest, sending blood flying. The guy with the top knot cried out in pain, arg, blood still pouring from his wound. The guy with the top knot exclaimed in horror. Damn it, what quality is that divine sword? Luckily, my armor negated some of the damage, or I'd be dead. He was now caught in a dilemma, shouted at the short-haired girl, what are you waiting for? Take him out. Are you trying to get me killed so you can take over as the leader? At that moment, a light flashed behind Yun-Chi. A bullet flew past him. He frowned, tilting his head to dodge as his eyes blazed with fury. The system announced, warning, you are taking a heavy hit. Battle armor durability decreased by 5%. He turned around to see the short-haired girl pointing a gun at his face. Her expression was grim. What a shame, but for an NPC, you're quite handsome. I was even planning on keeping you around to play with for a while. Yun-Chi was unfazed, his gaze ice cold, as he swung his sword in a flash, sending the man with the top knot to meet his ancestors. To the bald man's horror, he sneered, you want to keep me? Just you people? You're far from worthy. The bald man stared in shock as his leader dissolved into data, stammering, leader. A series of system notifications appeared. Player eliminated, received 30 technology points, divine weapon, treasure times 10, completed first player kill, received class skill, death entanglement. Death entanglement, level 1, condenses primal energy, deals massive damage to a single enemy target, or provides double the healing effect to undead subordinates. Next skill unlock condition. Eliminate. 100 players. Yun-Chi frowned, surprised. The key to unlocking skills is to kill other players. Well, no wonder I didn't get any new skills from level 1 to level 12. He raised his hand, his eyes cold, perfect timing to test the power of this new skill. He whispered, death entanglement. A ghostly face materialized and shot straight at the short-haired girl. Boom! She exploded, her writhing body dissolving into data. Then, arcs of electricity crackled over Yun-Chi's upper body. The bald man was stunned, sweat pouring down his face. Taken out in a single hit, Yun-Chi pressed his sword to the man's neck, his voice as cold as ice. Now, where is Huang Tianhao? The bald man collapsed to his knees, stammering, I'll talk. Young Master Huang, no Huang Tianhao. He's probably in the building at coordinates 263846. He just sent a message for the Sunset Squad to come and back him up. Yun-Chi gritted his teeth, his killing intent surging. Give me your map and radar, or die. He thought to himself, the world map and positioning radar are privileges exclusive to players. Even with the coordinates, I can't pinpoint the exact location. The bald man trembled. I'll share it right now. A system screen appeared, initiating map radar share. Share duration, 9 minutes and 57 seconds. Yunqi looked at the radar screen and muttered, "The share only lasts for 10 minutes. I'll have to ask Yan Zhu if there's a way around that." Suddenly, he heard a strange beeping sound. Turning, he saw the bald man's head begin to pixelate, his face slowly dissolving. A jade-green light flared in Yunqi's eyes. He said coldly, "Huang Tianhao, just you wait." He glanced into the dark night, thinking, a high-rise in the city center. These precious players are about to taste the fear of death. The scene changes to a dark corner. 3 shadowy figures materialize under a golden sigil. The man with the blonde top-knot gritted his teeth. "Man, that sword strike hurt like hell. When is this stupid game going to remove the pain sensation?" The bald man frantically explained, "Leader, that boss is too strong. Our team of 3 was no match for him. He's looking for young Master Huang. Maybe we should sell this info to him for a quick buck?" The blonde man sneered. "Is that all you can think about? Don't you want to level up? I've got my eyes on that sword of his." He looked up and roared, "We were just ambushed before. Find him." "I refuse to believe the 3 of us can't get the first kill." The bald man quickly agreed. "Right, boss, you're brilliant." But the third man broke out in a cold sweat, stammering, "Wait a minute, something's wrong." He looked at his screen. "Level 7? How did I drop a level?" The status window showed their level dropping from 8 to 7. The blonde guy and the bald guy were horrified, and the bald one shouted, "The game rules say you only lose experience when you die. Why did we de-level?" He panicked. "And what is this death mark?" The system announced, "Death mark. 10 minutes, all stats decreased by 10%. The blonde guy roared, "This is just the novice village. How can there be a boss that makes people de-level?" The other guy replied, "How is anyone supposed to enjoy the game like this?" The girl with them was annoyed. "And to think I found him handsome? He's completely merciless." The silver-haired guy gritted his teeth. "The gear I worked so hard to grind for, he shattered it with a single slash." The blonde guy clenched his fists. "I de-leveled. It took me forever to reach level 8. I have to risk it all against him." The other guy tried to stop him. "Don't be reckless. This boss is not to be trifled with." He even asked me for young Master Huang's location. He raised his hand and yelled, "He's targeting young Master Huang. Hurry and inform young Master Huang." The silver-haired guy got excited. "Good idea. Young Master Huang will definitely put him in his place." 4. Scene change. Yunqi tapped the screen, muttering coordinates 263, 846. "This is the place, but Huang Tianhao isn't here." He frowned. "I must have been held up dealing with those other players. I'm a step behind." In the distance, 3 dark figures rushed forward, shouting, "He's up ahead. Young Master Huang will avenge us." Sword in hand, Yunqi leaped down lightly, melting into the shadows. He stood amidst the chaotic crowd, his sharp gaze sweeping over the panicked players who were scattering in every direction. Shouts rang out, "Where's young Master Huang? There's no one left here." I think young Master Huang changed his coordinates. Who knows? He went hunting over that way. He tightened his grip on his sword, thinking to himself, "These players are no different from the humans on Blue Star. It's hard to imagine. They are an invading race from another planet." He lowered his gaze, lost in thought. What kind of technology could crush Blue Star's civilization and also allow them to die and resurrect as if in a game? As far as I know, no technology is capable of that. Unless this world isn't real. But he shook his head. Real or fake, what does it matter? The important thing right now is to make these players pay. Huang Tianhao is a killing addict. His coordinates are constantly changing. Suddenly, from afar, countless golden rays of light flashed. Yunqi paused. Scene change. Ahead, the leader of the Twilight Squad smirked sinisterly. "This feels great. I've farmed a ton of experience today." Other players ran up in a panic. "Young Master Huang, we finally found you. A monster has infiltrated the novice village. It's making players de-level and has been looking for you this whole time." The leader was taken aback. "Where is this monster?" Another person shouted, "We don't know, but it's level 9 and terrifyingly strong. It has an ultimate skill that one-shots level 8 players. That's right, that's how it killed me." Under the moonlight, Yunqi strode forward slowly, completely at ease. He muttered, "Found you." Before him stood a crowd of about 50 players. His entire body began to glow with a jade-green light. He looked at them, his voice cold. "I don't usually like to meddle in others' affairs, but humanity has the right to live, and their hopes should not be stolen by the likes of you." He touched the screen and pressed a button. A system prompt appeared, asking if he wanted to start a live broadcast. The blue screen was flooded with anonymous messages in the World Channel. "Our justice has not perished." Dabing commented, "Damn, what mad lad is this, daring to charge into Novice Village 2689 all by himself." Li T-New wrote, "So strong. God-tier player, please come back safe. I'll call you daddy." Zhao Ergu scoffed, "Strong, my A*****. How can one person fight several hundred players?" Shen Jin replied, Exactly. We have no way to deal with these immortal invaders. Yunqi lightly touched his face, his gaze resolute. To me, the players are not what's frightening, but when humanity hesitates for too long, losing the courage to stand up, he whispered. Then let me, the planner harbinger of death, have a thrilling moment as the lone hero. A message appeared on the world channel, Fang Qian. This is Fang Qian from squad number 2. I am Fang Qian. The scene changes to a man sitting in a chair, blindfolded, his deep voice echoing. I believe that justice will not perish. If you see this message, I, as the commander-in-chief of humanity's guardian army, solemnly implore you, no matter what happens, to come back alive. He looked at the savage players before him, the corners of his lips curling into a ferocious smile. My opponents are immortals. I want to see just how truly immortal you are. A jade green light flashed in his eyes, and an overwhelming killing intent erupted from him. The nearby players scoffed contemptuously. It actually dares to come right to our doorstep. This monster has some real guts. Huang Tianhao stood in the middle of the crowd, starting a live stream on the world channel, his voice arrogant. This is a perfect opportunity for everyone to see how I, Huang Tianhao, torture a boss. Yunqi calmly replied, who knows? You might be the one to die today. Huang Tianhao was furious. What kind of joke is that? I'm a player. But Yunqi didn't let him be arrogant for long, dashing forward with terrifying speed. Huang Tianhao was stunned. How is this monster so fast? I heard you lose a level if it kills you. What if it's true? I don't want to grind all over again, he roared. Are the marksmen useless? Hurry up and shoot. But the bullets from the marksmen couldn't even touch Yunqi. One of them cried out in panic. Young Master Huang, he's too fast. We can't get a clear shot. Yunqi advanced like a whirlwind without any hesitation. Huang Tianhao roared, useless bunch. Beastmasters, stop him. Whoever succeeds, I'll reward them handsomely. The players summoned their strongest pets, shouting, don't worry, young Master Huang, taking down this monster will only take a few minutes. The pets charged forward, roaring. But in the blink of an eye, Yunqi swung his sword, a jade green light flashed, and the pets dissolved into data within seconds. The remaining ones retreated in fear. The players were stunned. What? He took them all out with one swing? Damn it, what are you standing around for? Summon them again, quickly. Huang Tianhao roared. There are too few strong beasts in the beginner village. They're all just large hounds, but it should be enough to wear this boss down. However, the system announced, your pet has entered a weakened state due to death. You must wait 10 minutes to summon it again. He was horrified. Can't respawn? Is it a bug? Yunqi smirked and thought to himself. The mark of death doesn't kill summoned beasts outright, but it weakens them. I need to end this quickly. He charged forward, his green-lit sword sweeping across the battlefield. Player after player fell. No one survived his blade. The system continuously announced, player eliminated, received 30 technology points, divine weapon treasure chest times 10. The players lost all hope. They were horrified. He wiped out all our pets in less than 1 minute. His speed is like a top-tier assassin, but his power is no less than a warrior's. Who can stop a boss like this? Huang Tianhao gritted his teeth. I'll lose all face if I get killed by this monster. I'll only lose a little experience, but my reputation will be ruined. I absolutely won't let it have its way today. He adjusted the formation. Twilight Squad, charge with me and kill this boss. The female sharpshooter stepped forward confidently. Beyond 10 paces, a gun is the fastest. Within 10 paces, a gun is both fast and accurate. I refuse to believe you can dodge at this range. She raised her gun and aimed straight at Yunqi, her finger tightening on the trigger, but Yunqi's eyes were cold as his figure flickered like a phantom. Yunqi stood in the middle of the battlefield, his sharp, cold gaze sweeping over the panicked players as one of them screamed. Damn it, so many marksmen and none of them can hit a single NPC. He's incredibly fast. Another player admitted defeat, feeling like they were being led around by the nose by this boss. Is this the power of a level 9 NPC? His movements, his speed, and even his face are so cool. Yunqi thought to himself, dodging bullets doesn't require absolute speed. You just need to be faster than the marksman's thoughts. This bunch reacts even slower than Jiang Xiao Duo. It's a good thing I kept her by the car with a mission. If she had followed me and joined the enemy, it would have been a huge hassle. He glanced at the panicking players. These small fries can't stop me. The players shouted, he's charging. He's the target. Out of ammo. Another group rushed forward with swords. I don't believe you can cut us all down with just one sword. Brothers, charge. But Yunqi, with a cold look in his eyes, activated Death Entanglement. A ghostly aura tightly bound the enemies, forcing even the burliest among them to their knees, begging for mercy. One guy cried out in terror. What the hell is this? He jumped down, stomped hard on one guy's head, and used the momentum to dash towards Huang Tianhao. The players yelled, he's after young Master Huang. Young Master Huang, be careful. Huang Tianhao, his face full of arrogance, raised his shield and said, "Come at me, monster. I spent 3 million apocalypse coins on this shield. You can't break it, even with all your strength." But Yun-Chi just sneered. 3 million apocalypse coins, what a bargain. Makes for a satisfying cut. The sword flashed, slicing through the shield, piercing the armor, and plunging straight into Huang Tianhao's neck. His eyes widened, blood spurted out, and his body dissolved into data. A system notification appeared. Player eliminated, received 50 technology points, divine weapon, treasure drop rate times 10. The player's jaws dropped. Young Master Huang was killed in front of so many people. Yun-Chi looked up at the chaotic world channel. Anonymous God, well done. Zhao Ergu, did he really kill a player? That's awesome. Dabbing, this is the beginning of humanity's counterattack. Lao Fu Fansha, counterkill. Shenjin, don't celebrate too soon. There are still dozens of enemies over there, and players are immortal. Suddenly, 2 female assassins charged like a whirlwind, their blades cutting through the air, aimed straight at Yun-Chi. But another blade flashed, slicing across one of the female assassins' necks. Blood sprayed as she collapsed and dissolved. Huh? The remaining female assassin was stunned, and before she could react, another blade was pressed against her face. Yun-Chi turned, frowning. A sneak attack? Damn cowards. He kicked her away, sending her crashing to the ground. Ugh, he thought to himself, these 2 assassins are fast, but someone else was even faster just now, blocking the first blow. Who was it? The spirit hound suddenly barked. Woof, a girl gestured. Shh. You little troublemaker, stop barking. Yun-Chi glanced behind him and recognized Zhang Xiaoduo. She stared at his back, her eyes shining brightly, thinking to herself, you thought a mission could keep me here? Luckily, I'm smart enough to bring Da He along. Yun-Chi, let's see what other surprises you have. The players roared, their eyes gleaming when they heard that young Master Huang had just left the respawn point and was on his way here. Whoever stops this monster gets a reward of 1,000 apocalypse coins. Everyone got excited. Go all out. Team up. Don't let this boss escape. They swarmed forward, their morale sky high for the apocalypse coins, determined to hold down this mysterious boss. Yun-Chi frowned, his heart sinking. There are too many enemies, and my equipment's durability is limited. I have to end this in one fell swoop. The system's warning sounded, 2 warriors on your left. One of them leaped high and slammed down, confident. 1,000 apocalypse coins are mine. But Yun-Chi swung his sword, and death entanglement erupted, knocking him away. He was inwardly surprised. He had predicted the enemy's actions based on the live stream. Fang Yuanshuai, the strongest person in the Empire, truly lives up to his reputation. Fang Yuanshuai's voice echoed from the live stream. Anonymous, I will help you identify priority targets through the live stream as humanity's last flame in the fight against the players. Absolutely do not let it be extinguished easily. Another guy, who wouldn't give up until he was at death's door, charged forward with his sword, but Yun-Chi slashed at his leg, and blood splattered everywhere as the man screamed. Ah yes, Fang Yuanshuai continued. The warrior on the right, who was backing up to prepare an attack, dodged. Yun-Chi jumped, leaving the guy wide-eyed. What? He dodged again? Before he could react, he took a kick to the face and coughed up blood. Ugh. Fang Yuanshuai clenched his fists in excitement. Amazing. It took less than 3 seconds after receiving the order to take down the target. His reaction time is on par with top-tier elite soldiers. The girl beside him coldly remarked, Huh? Fast reflexes, but his power is weak. Fang Yuanshuai retorted, Weak? He's soloing more than 10 players and you call that weak? The girl crossed her arms disdainfully. Can't you see that he's been fighting this long without finishing anyone off? If he has time to show off, he should just end it. He gritted his teeth. No, he's not weak, he's unbelievably strong. In just a few minutes, he's completely adapted to this style of combat. He's not finishing them off immediately to prevent the players from respawning and coming back with updated strategies. He even anticipated and acted before I gave the order. His ability to learn is astounding. Back on the battlefield, the group of players were trapped by endless death, struggling and screaming, What is this? We can't escape. Yun-Chi shot them a deadly glare. Enough. Just as the words left his mouth, Huang Tianhao appeared in a new set of brilliant golden armor, holding a shield and sword. He grinned, Thank you all for buying me time. He then laughed sinisterly. Yeah, you damn monster, your end has come. Suddenly, a female player cheered. Young Master Huang has respawned. Huang Tianhao thought confidently to himself, This armor set cost a ton of apocalypse coins, and in a moment, I'll make this brat die a miserable death. The system displayed Constitution plus 5%, Agility plus 3%, all stats plus 5%, Strength plus 4%. He roared. See for yourself the difference between you and a player. Yun-Chi's lips curled into a smirk, his eyes sharp and cold. A difference? As soon as he spoke, The armored man swung his gleaming sword, hurtling toward Yun-Shi at a terrifying speed. Yun-Shi didn't flinch in the slightest, his brows merely twitching, as the corners of his mouth lifted into a mocking smile. He stood his ground, casually raising his sword, and effortlessly blocked his opponent's ferocious attack. Young Master Huang's eyes widened in horror, his jaw dropping in disbelief as he stammered, "How is this possible? With all my equipment buffs, my stats should be way higher than yours." Yun-Shi didn't answer, simply extending his arm to deliver a powerful blow that sent young Master Huang flying. Ugh. Yun-Shi spoke coldly, his tone encouraging yet dripping with sarcasm. "Don't be discouraged, young Master Huang. You really have gotten much stronger." Suddenly, a cold glint flashed in his eyes, giving his opponent no time to react. Yun-Shi took the offensive, thrusting his sword straight into young Master Huang's chest. He observed coldly, thinking to himself, getting stronger also enhances the sensation of being defeated. Young Master Huang let out a pained, pathetic scream. "Ah, ha." Before his body completely disintegrated, he managed to growl a threat. "Don't get cocky. Next time I respawn, I'll buy even stronger gear and bring more teammates. I refuse to believe I can't kill you." But the other players, who were bound by invisible threads, watched this scene in utter dismay. One of them stammered, trembling, "Young Master Huang, you mean even young Master Huang can't beat this boss?" The guy next to him retorted arrogantly, "What nonsense are you spouting? Young Master Huang's gear is top tier. Once we figure out this punk's weakness, he'll definitely crush him next time." Another player named Yang silently watched Yun-Shi's back, muttering and speculating, "But this boss is too strong. It just took down Huang Xiao. We're definitely next." Suddenly, Yun-Shi shot forward, stunning the group, as the girl in the group called out in confusion. "Wait, did the boss just run away? After beating so many people, it just took off like that?" Another guy muttered with wide eyes. Could it be that he came to the novice village just to teach Huang Xiao a lesson? Suddenly, a guy chimed in confidently. He must be scared. Huang Xiao just called for reinforcements and brought high-end gear. How could a wild monster like him dare to face them head-on? The girl nodded in agreement, but still had her doubts. That makes sense, but something still feels off to me. Let me check Huang Xiao's livestream first. But in the private chat of the 5 million team, Ergu urgently reminded Hero, "Run! Absolutely do not get surrounded." But Shen Jin disagreed, leaving a curse-filled message. "Damn it, with such a good opportunity, why not kill a few more players?" "What? Da Bingbing you?" Yun-Shi retorted. "That guy up there really lives up to his name. He's a total psycho. With so many enemies, we're lucky to have escaped." Yes, Wang Xikan also nodded. "Yeah, he's already done more than enough. Better to live to fight another day." At this moment, Yun-Shi was rushing forward like a whirlwind, his sharp eyes locked on the target ahead. But elsewhere, the girl watching the live stream suddenly gasped and muttered in alarm. "Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Why is the boss's figure visible in Huang Xiao's live stream? Could it be that he's heading to the spawn point?" The newly respawned Huang Xiao roared in anger. "Damn it, I dropped 2 whole levels again. Just wait until I call my men. We'll definitely capture that brat alive and grind every inch of his bones to dust." In just an instant, Yun-Shi appeared, gripping his sword tightly, charging straight towards Huang Xiao. He slashed a sharp sword strike across his opponent's stomach, sending blood flying. This caused Huang Xiao to spit up blood and scream in pain. Ugh! The girl watching from afar was dumbfounded. "What, over there?" Fang Yuanshui's face darkened in shock. Even the girl next to him had a look of complete surprise. Yun-Shi stood tall on the line between life and death, facing the entire battlefield alone. He raised his hand, and a swirling energy erupted in his palm like a roaring storm with a sky-shattering roar. He unleashed the power of the Death God, and the terrifying force slammed directly into Huang Xiao, making him scream in agony. Ugh, ugh. Before his body vanished from the game world, Huang Xiao trembled and stammered. "You, asterisk asterisk. You, asterisk asterisk. How did you know?" Yun-Shi replied coldly, his gaze as sharp as a blade. "Who told you players to be so flashy? It's hard not to notice this place." He stood proudly amidst the smoke and dust, when suddenly, Huang Xiao reappeared behind him, a bright red warning message flashing before his eyes. "Your level -1, current level LV5. Panicking, his mind a tangled mess, Huang Xiao muttered. "This bug, just what? Damn designer created this?" His mind was racing. "This boss is too strong. I absolutely can't win. I have to protect my remaining levels." Huang Xiao hastily commanded the system to force a logout, but the screen displayed a red warning. "Logout operation cannot be completed." His eyes widened in disbelief. "Can't log out? How is that possible?" At that very moment, Yun-Shi charged from behind, his movements as fast as lightning, a perfectly precise strike sent Huang Xiao's body flying in an instant. Ugh. Yun-Shi glanced coldly towards the spawn point, seeing Huang Xiao just reappear. He immediately gripped his sword and charged forward like a whirlwind. A brilliant sword strike tore through the air as he asked while slashing. In a sarcastic voice, he asked, "Does it hurt?" The system immediately announced, "Warning, your level has decreased by 1. Current level, level 4. Without stopping, Yunqi continued to land more critical hits, asking in an ice-cold voice as he struck, "Humiliating, isn't it?" The system continuously announced, "Warning, your level has decreased by 1. Current level, level 3. Warning, your level has decreased by 1. Current level, level 2. Young Master Huang screamed in pain. "Ah," Yunqi sneered. "Have you ever felt the fear of facing death, haven't you?" Yunqi raised his sword high, his sharp, cold gaze seeming to pierce right through his soul. "But it's clear that you players." As the blade swung down, blood splattered everywhere. A crimson scene filled the screen, like a cruel sentence for the defeated.